All right, everybody. Fuyamoto says, I don't even care if Morj shows up now. Come on, you guys have fun in the chat. You guys have plenty of fun in the chat without me even being here, right? All right, everyone. You know what time it is. We gotta like the stream. Have I watched the new Spider-Verse movie yet? No, I had some friends that were going to watch it last night, but I had a very long, packed weekend. So by yesterday, yesterday night, I was like, okay, if the movie starts at 9 p.m. or 9:30 or something like that, it'll be out of there at like 12:30 or 1. It was just too much. I was like, I'm not gonna watch it, but I'll watch it at some point. I really want to see it. Goomba Boomba, thanks for the 2. Morj, I blame you for the month-long Oda break. Oh yeah, have you guys heard about that? Huh? Have you guys heard about that? Has word on the street spread around? An average drummer, thanks for being a member for 8 months. Morj, what do you think of the month break starting? Alright. Let's address it. That's like the main thing to talk about, right? I might as well throw this video topic, this stream topic out the window. Who even cares about the Gorosei's fruits? We just want to talk about the month-long break, right? We have plenty of time to talk about the month-long break during the month-long break. That's my opinion, but we can talk about it now if you guys want. No, a month-long break isn't a spoiler. You're allowed to mention that there's a month-long break. In fact, it's better if people know about it so that they're not all confused next week. So, month-long break is coming up. I wonder if this is going to be a regular thing at this point. You guys think that Oda's just going to do this every, once a year? Because if that's the case, then... if that's the case, then however long we think One Piece is going to take to end, we got to tack on, another... few months. It's just going to be even longer at this point, right? Because he barely gets out... He doesn't even get out 40 chapters a year at this point. It's more like 38. If he takes breaks more and more frequently now, a month-long break here. Maybe he does it again before the end of the year. Maybe we're looking at, some Tagashi stuff, right? Who knows? Bunfagum, thanks. Now you have to finish the Wano video. I do get extra time to work on things, don't I? Well, that's unfortunate. That is a good thing, though. I did see the month-long break, and at first I was like, oh, shit. That's good? Bad? I can use the time. The time is good. I think that the bigger question is basically, why is he taking the month-long break, right? Let me see if there's been any updates on Twitter. Let's get the stream likes to 100. Right? Let's get the stream likes to 100 while I'm checking Twitter. The reason I'm checking Twitter is because I haven't seen anything recently. So I just want to make sure that I'm up to date on if there's been any updates as to the reason. Oh, Ubu, thanks for the 5. A whistleblower came out today. Oh god, this seems controversial. What's going on? Claiming the US government is in possession of non-human materials, craft, bodies, alien stuff. Disclosure by the end of the year, 100. Were you the one who brought this shit up last time? This is, by the way, more interesting than the 1 month break, if it's true. Let's take a look. I'll just search up aliens in the news. Wait, it is real. Holy shit, hold on. It is real. Wait, no, it's... I don't know what any of these news sources are. I don't know if I could trust any of them. Does anyone know what the New York Magazine is? Has anyone ever heard of it? Is it like the New York Times? Is it somehow more legit? What's the New York Magazine? Alright. I guess keep me updated on that too. Back to checking on the 1 month break. Has there been any reason given for the break? Big Baller, thanks for the 5. Oda is going on break to change the story because you were right about Luffy being from the egg. Oh shit, that's true. The last time the break happened, it was around the time that the raid didn't fail. Oda had to take a month off to see how he's gonna realign the story now that he's thrown his original plans out the window. That's what's happened both times, huh? Bunfagun, thanks. Morj's break doesn't feel planned. I'm worried. Okay, let's be serious then. Because I'm personally not worried. Because we haven't... Well, I don't know any better than you guys, though, right? The reason I'm not worried is just because I don't think we've seen anything from Oda recently that suggests that his health issues have flared up or anything like that, right? There's been no news about that, but I guess this is how we would find out, wouldn't it be? And on top of that, the other reason I'm not too worried is because I feel like the last time he took a month break, right? The last time he took a month break, it was to plan out the final saga, right? And he said that, here's my take. Last time he said that he's taking a month break, it was to plan out the final saga, and it's like, he said that he trimmed a lot of the fat, right? He trimmed a lot of the fat from the final saga. So if he trimmed a lot of the fat from the final saga, then, how do I say this? If that's what he did originally, right? But the way things have been going recently, it feels like the final saga is becoming very, very... It looks like it's about to be really long anyway, right? I mean, just look at the teeny tiny little Egghead Island arc itself. Even within that arc, where the Strats are just interacting with one character, Vegapunk. That character is 7 different characters who are all in this complex little plot web and, like, betraying each other and shit, right? And York's trying to do this stuff, and, like, at the same time, something's going on over here with Kid, something's going on with Law, something's going on with Mihawk and Cross-Guild and Shanks, and I just wonder if, considering this is the home stretch, the most important part of the story, if Oda's just really, really, like, buckling down and being like, I'm going to take as many breaks as necessary to make sure that this stretch of the story goes perfectly and that nothing feels rushed about it or nothing feels too bloated or whatever. Because, again, I mean, in the last several chapters, I mean, we've had this, like, since Oda took his last break, right? Since he took his last break, we've had so many more things added to the story. We've had the Seraphim and all of that stuff, all of the Vegapunk bodies and all of that stuff. Just the ideas of what Devil Fruits are, Punk Records, all of this stuff, the Gods Knights. There's been so many things added to the story, actually, since he did that last break, right? You can even say Cross Guild, right? So many things added to the story since he did that last break that would naturally extend the story. So, yeah, to me, it's just like, I wonder if he's just being very careful with how he's approaching this, because there's no other manga running, period, that is anywhere close to the scale. There's just nothing close to the scale and scope of what Oda's dealing with right now. It's, the story is just too long, too vast, the world is too big, there's too many characters, too many plot lines that all need to come together. So I'm viewing it more so as he hasn't had to deal with this before, which is why him having to take breaks like this makes more sense. I mean, the closest you could say to something like this was writing the Wano arc, right? And at the end of the day, it didn't matter as much. It didn't matter that much if the Wano arc ends up having some stuff messy or skipped or whatever, or like some characters fall to the wayside or some things are rushed. It just doesn't matter as much with Wano, but it matters a lot here. And here it's a much bigger scale, much more stuff going on, much more at stake. I just prefer to be optimistic here and hope that it is not a health issue, but rather him just taking his time for the story. That's my hope. That's what I would like to think. Big Baller, thanks for the 5. Oda going on... Oh, no, we covered this. EHB says, Morj, besides the channel, do you have another job? Not like a salary paid job, but I think I've talked about this a lot of times, which is basically I do digital It's complicated what exactly it is, but it's not a digital marketing business anymore, but it's a business that systemizes other digital marketing companies, although my involvement in that is getting more complicated, and the easiest way I can put it is basically I'm trying to, while a lot of my time goes to stuff outside of YouTube, I'm trying to branch out in that direction as well, to hopefully something that I think... I don't want to go too much into basically what my current goals are, but yeah, I'm hoping to not be in digital marketing, basically, at all. Like, not in terms of running ads and stuff like that, but also not in terms of working on other businesses and systemizing other businesses. I don't like the entire... I just don't like that entire niche at this point. Although I know so much about it at this point that if I could go back in time and explain a lot of stuff to myself, it would be nice. Virgil Hawkins, thanks for the 6-month Yonko membership. Oh, no. Sorry. You're updating me on a missed message. Okay. It's from Diaklia. Okay, thank you for being a Yonko member for 6 months. I appreciate it. One Piece waifu tier list at 200k subs. Also, like the stream. We'll figure it out. Waifu tier list will come at some point. Thank you. And everybody, yeah, like the stream. Let's listen to Diaklia. Will, welcome to the Yonko. Congratulations, you now get access to the Morjcast, the exclusive podcast that comes out once a week, every Friday. That has all my unfiltered thoughts on everything, including how the last one was on how the egg theory, the weirdest Morj theory of all time, came about. If you're interested in that. Nurgangi, thanks for 220. We were promised weekly, now 3 months and counting. Then stop asking. Okay, Devin Uderam, thanks for the 20. Appreciate it. Morj, as brown men, we have to do better with lateness, lol. That's true. I guess you guys don't know about it, but Indians have a I don't know how well known this stereotype is, but in Indian culture, it is very common to be late. It's just part of the culture. I'm not joking. That's I could Google it right now. Are Indians always late? Why are Indians always late to social gatherings? Yeah, that's just the way it is. It's just the way we grew up. It's just the way we grew up. And here's the thing. My mom in particular was extra late, even among Indians. Like, if we're going to, like, an Indian... like Indian family get together, like Indian families getting together, you know, like an Indian get together, like that's just a thing that happens if you're a minority. You have specific get-togethers between your family and other families of that minority. Like, it's just a thing, right? So if we were going to an Indian get-together when I was a kid, everyone would always be late, and my mom was extra late, even among all the like, so by Indian family standards, my mom was on the later to latest end in terms of when she felt like we needed to get there. So I just had that was deeply ingrained into me to just never be on time. I guess it's not to deliberately be, how do I explain this? It's not like I'm deliberately late. You guys don't understand. It's not like I'm deliberately late, because I don't just go like, oh, well, I grew up this way, therefore I'm just always going to be late to everything. That's not in my head. It's more so, it's two things. One is like, I'm very bad at time management when it comes to getting to things. That's the main thing. I'm very bad at time management when it comes to getting to certain things. All right? So when it comes to arriving at certain things, I just plot everything out beforehand with extreme optimism in terms of like, well, this will only take this long if I rush, and this will only take this long, and this will only take this long. What do you know? It all ends up adding up to being much more than I expected. So that's the main thing. And then the other thing is also just like, if it's like a... I don't want to derail too much talking about this. If I'm only meeting with one other person, then I make extreme efforts to be on time, because I think that's rude. If you're meeting with only one other person, then I really try to be on time, because otherwise that's rude. If it's like a large group thing that's happening, then I don't have as much mental pressure to be on time, because I'm like, there's like lots of people there, they'll be fine. Nobody like, it's okay if I show up late. And if it's like the stream, I try to be on time. I'm only roughly 15 minutes late usually, and you guys are in chat, so you have each other, so you can talk to each other. You're friends with each other, so it's all okay. Anyway. The rest of what he's saying is, my opinion is, what if the will of D or the D initial isn't a letter initial at all, but a symbol of the sun? That's why they keep bringing up the dawn of the new age. I mean, I've said forever that the D just stands for dawn. I don't know why D would stand for sun, unless it's like, I've seen people say, well, the D stands for sun, or like the D could look like the rising sun, because it's like, if you flip a D on its side, it's got like a horizon and then a curvature. You know what I mean? So it's like, I get it, but I'm like, well, then why the fuck? It could also stand for the moon. Right? I don't know. D looks like a half moon, if we really want to stretch. I think the D just... I think it's just... I just think it stands for dawn, and I've said that for a long time. Ramen Stains, thanks for the 220. Cool poster, Morj. Where did you get it? You know what I'm going to do with this 1 month break? I'm going to take time to redo the background. And thanks for asking. Let me link you guys to the Morj store, where you can purchase that and plenty of other fantastic posters. These posters are the best One Piece posters in on the market, from the finest artists in the world. Let me pin that. Vihawk says Berserk is pretty massive. Berserk's content, the amount of content and characters and world building of Berserk is way, way, way infinitely smaller than, like, it's not even comparable to One Piece. There's a huge, huge, huge gap there. Not in terms of, like, I'm not trying to compare One Piece and Berserk in terms of, like, overall story or whatever. I'm just saying, like, the number of factions and shit that Oda has set up and number of active moving plot threads and the complexity of the overall narrative is significantly higher in One Piece, just because there's more focus on the world, there's more focus on keeping a wide variety of characters and plot threads moving. Berserk is fairly tight. If I'm thinking about Berserk right now, you can isolate to mainly just 3. Well, I haven't read the recent chapters, so I don't remember from the recent chapters exactly, but you can isolate to basically 3 groups in Berserk, and that's it. You got Griffith's side, you've got Guts' side, and then you've got that group that was in the capital that left recently. They flew away. You guys remember those guys? I forget exactly who they were. I think it had it was basically a lot of the side characters that flew away. It had that one dude that it was the group of characters that fought the hold on. Who are Griffith's commanders again? The group of guys that fought Rakshas. You guys remember? They were in the capital for a bit and then they flew away. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like 3 groups. That's not a lot. That's basically nothing to manage for this point in the story. JDG, thanks for the 2. Do you know Murphy Napier? You guys analyze very similarly. Murphy was in the same Reverie as me recently. I think, I don't know which one. Either the last one or the one before that. So I've been in a call with Murphy, but I don't think we've interacted that much. I don't watch other people's videos. I just don't at this point. The last One Piece video I watched was the Hidden Island, because he told me to watch the video before I got on a call with him. At first, and it was like a fucking 40-minute video. So at first I was like, I don't want to watch this, but I'll do it for Hidden Island. So I was like, I'll just watch like part of it, and then if I really like it, I'll just keep going till I get bored of it, and I'll watch the whole thing, because the video was really, really good. So I was happy I watched it in the end. It was like the music of Marie. I still recommend that video to people. So, I mean, I know other people put out good videos. I'm not trying to be like, I don't watch other videos because they're not good. I'm saying that I just don't feel like watching other videos. If someone makes me watch their video, I'll watch it. Mr. Armageddon, thanks for the 22. I suggest people bookmark a cool video called This Theory Casually Spoils the Ending of One Piece. Oda is a Genius. Watch it after this live stream. Basically, One Piece is influenced by Castle in the Sky by Hayao Miyazaki. Sure. I'm not going to watch that personally, but I guess that sounds good. Take inventory. Welcome to the Yonko. You get access to the Morjcast, special podcast that comes out every Friday. Gives my unfiltered thoughts on everything, including things such as why I came up with the egg theory and how much I actually believe in it. Guys, let's get the stream likes up to 200. Gihelmertorest. I'm never going to say your name again. Have you seen the Hindu gods' mounts theory for the fruits? The bird Garuda, the ox-looking Nandi, and the elephant Ganesha looks promising. The thing is that these aren't... Alright, let me pull it up. Okay, so the Gorosei... Wait, no, why am I looking it up here? I'm fairly well versed in Hindu mythology, but the things you're referencing, like, so Garuda is, if I remember correctly, so that's Vishnu's mount. He rides around on Garuda. Nandi, I believe, is Shiva's elder son's mount, right? Shiva's elder son, I don't remember his name. Shiva's elder son, Karthik. It is Karthik. Karthik, yeah, is the full name, but Karthik is how I remember him. Karthik and Nandi, it is, yeah. Isn't Nandi? Oh no, Shiva writes Nandi. Never mind. My mistake. My mistake. And Ganesha is Shiva's second son. The story of Ganesha is wild. Okay, let me give you guys a hilarious Hindu backstory real quick. You guys know Ganesh? Ganesh is Ganesh is an interesting god. All right, because it's the biggest example of power creep I've ever seen in mythology ever. All right, so yeah, and like Hindu mythology is power creep. It's a real thing. If you read Amar Chitrakatha like I did, you guys have all seen Ganesh. Ganesh is probably one of the most famous Indian gods, right next to Shiva, Krishna, stuff like that, right? You guys know this guy, very popular, right? Ganesh before elephant head. So Ganesh didn't always have an elephant head. So the story is hilarious. The story is actually wild. Okay, so you guys don't need to watch this video. I'll just explain it to you. So Shiva, right, super important god. He's the top 3 most important Hindu gods. It's him, Vishnu, and Brahma. They're like the big 3, okay? They're like the One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach of Hindu mythology, all right? So Shiva, and this is his wife. By the way, all of the information I have here is from Amar Chitrakatha, which is a comic. So I don't know how 100% accurate it is, but this is what I read growing up, right? So Shiva, it's weird. He keeps on I don't know what. How do I explain this? Okay, so this is his wife Parvati. All right. So Shiva and Parvati, they're married, right? Ganesh doesn't exist yet. This kid doesn't exist. Okay. So Shiva keeps walking in on Parvati while Parvati's taking a bath. All right. Parvati doesn't like that for whatever reason, but Shiva like laughs at her and keeps doing it. And then Parvati's like, well, I can't. None of my all of the guards in the castle, they can't keep Shiva out because they're his guards. So I need to make something that's my own guard. I need my own guard to keep Shiva out. It's a very weird problem, all right? It's like a husband-wife problem that would never exist in the real world. So she needs a bodyguard to keep Shiva out of her bathroom. Weird problem, I know. I am screen sharing, right? All right. So what happens next is she like just through clay or something like that, she makes a boy, and it's a human boy. So he looks like this initially. He doesn't have the head taken off, right? So he looks like this. He looks like a normal human boy. And in this form, he's broke. So Shiva tries to go to the bathroom where Parvati's in it, and there's just this random kid that Shiva never seen before is standing in front of him. He's like, you can't go in, that my mom's in there. Shiva's like, I don't give a fuck, let me in. And then he beats him up. So Ganesh beats up Shiva. Like, he beats him up and sends Shiva away, so Shiva's mad. So now he sends all of his armies out to go attack the kid. And he beats up all the armies too. So this kid is fucking broken. All right, so Ganesh is broken at this point in time. He's beating up all of Shiva's armies. Shiva sends in his other son, Karthik. Let's see if anything shows up. He sends in Karthik to go take out the son. Doesn't work. Karthik, who's the older son, he gets beat up. Ganesh versus everyone. Let's see if we get an image of this. Is there an image of this? Maybe they don't have it. I wish I could show you guys the original comic. So Ganesh beats up everybody. And then Shiva starts calling in other gods. So Shiva calls in Vishnu and Brahma, and then they get beat up too. And then some stuff happens, and eventually through like a lot of ambushing and stuff like that, they manage to cut off this kid's head. So all of the gods in Hindu mythology basically got called in by Shiva to fight this random kid that appeared out of nowhere so that Shiva can go back to walking into Parvati while she's taking a shower, right? So head gets cut off. Everyone's high-fiving, celebrating, we took care of this kid. Parvati finds out about this. She gets so fucking mad that she releases Kali and Durga, which are her alter egos, which are like god, like fucking crazy ass messed up goddesses. All right, they're just they're monstrous. You don't want to fuck with Kali and Durga. So Kali and Durga go around and they start causing chaos for everybody and fucking everything up. And then Shiva's like, okay, well now we really fucked up. I just wanted to look at my wife in the shower, and now the entire world's going to shit. So then he tells the other gods, okay, what I need you to do is we gotta fix this kid. We gotta fix this kid ASAP, so that then this kid, once he is fixed, my wife will be happy. And he's like, I don't give a fuck how. We need a new head for this kid. So he sends other gods out to go find a head for this kid, and he's like, I don't care any which way, just find me a head. The first thing that they see is an elephant walking around, so they cut off the elephant's head and they stick it on the kid, and just like that, it works. So yeah, the kid goes from this to this, and then Shiva basically brings the elephant back over to Parvati, and like the newly formed kid with elephant head back to Parvati. He's like, look, Ganesha's fixed, same thing, right? And then she's like, yeah, you know what, good enough, and then she's happy. Okay. So the reason I say that this is the worst power scaling in Hindu mythology is because when Ganesh was first created and was beating up all of the gods, he was fucking broken. But once he gets the elephant head, Ganesh becomes like the bitch god that everyone makes fun of. Like, not makes fun of, but he becomes like the little kid god that like, they don't make fun of him. That's the wrong way to say it. He becomes like the little kid god. Like, he's like a god of luck, and like, he rides around on a little mouse or something like that. He doesn't have a cool steed like everybody else. He just becomes like the cute god. And he's like, you know, his elder brother is the really cool one that everybody respects and stuff like that. And it's just a lot of stuff. But elephant form Ganesh is, funnily enough, way weaker than OG Ganesh, who was just this kid that had a normal head. Anyway, what was the original prompt for this question? If any of you guys were upset by that long-winded explanation, just know that you're now significantly more cultured than you were before. Who knew about this story before this, huh? Nobody. But now you know a great deal about Hindu mythology. Yeah, he becomes Chopperified. He basically becomes the mascot of the gods. Anyway, let's see how many people left. Oh, nobody left during that. That's funny. People actually... Okay. Somehow that got more viewers. So now you guys learned something about Hindu mythology. Oh, I forgot. The prompt was that the bird Garuda and the ox-looking Nandi and elephant Ganesh looks promising. No, I just looked at the panel. It doesn't look like that to me. That's all I gotta say. My conclusion is that I don't think that that's it. But maybe it is. Which one looks like an elephant? That's the only thing. I don't think any of them look like an elephant, really. Unless you think the rhino looks like an elephant. Uchek says, so my dad went to India to buy milk. Got it. Yeah, pretty much, man. Sorry to tell you. Guys, let's get the stream likes to 300. Justin Holland, thanks for the 5. What if Luffy is the Dawn if he's not... What if Luffy is the Dawn if he's not the Bringer? You forgot other points of my post in 1085 commissioned. Okay, so Justin Holland, I didn't forget other points. You had a lot of points listed. In a chapter review video, I can't, like... I'm not going to go through... I think you had, like, 6 or 7 points listed. I'm not going to go through all of them and talk about all of them, because it has to be interesting for the other viewers as well. So I went with the most interesting one, which was the first thing you talked about, which was the Gorosei Saturn showing up at what do we call it? At Egghead Island. So I had to go with the first. I can't just go through every single point. It's not like, it's not the same as Supers here, basically, where obviously it's a stream, so it's live interaction. For that, it's like I can't dedicate 4 or 5 minutes of a video of a chapter review to addressing something, basically. But so I just took what's most interesting and I rolled with that. I hope you can understand that, and just keep that in mind for next time. But yeah, that's just the way the voice of the people kind of has to be, unfortunately. But thanks again for submitting. So what if Luffy is the Dawn if he's not the Bringer? I mean, I think he is the Bringer of the Dawn. I think the only thing I've ever said is that Luffy might not be the sovereign that the Sea Kings are talking about. That's pretty much it. Someone asked, but what happened to the elephant? The elephant died. The elephant is dead. The elephant died. Okay. Wait, let me make sure I'm not missing anything. Give me a second. Will, thanks for the 5. How dumb is Emu to spill the secrets to someone they plan to kill where not 1 but 2 people overheard it? Think this could be handled better. I mean, Im didn't know that in theory, nobody's supposed to be in that room, right? So Im didn't know that there's the revolutionary's top secret agent in the room with them at the same time, right? It would be nice if he had turned on some observation hockey or something like that and picked up on what's going on. But, it's just the way that the story had to work, right? I think it would have been nice if Oda had planted, one other thing as, a reasonable reason that they were able to get out of there. but it's kind of just like, okay, we need them to get away, so they get away, right? It's the same as Beppo getting away with Law when you've got like Blackbeard and Van Augur right there, you know? Because that should be impossible for them to get away from Law just based on their ability. I mean, get away from Blackbeard and Van Augur based on their abilities, because Van Augur's ability is sniping, and he's literally introduced pre-time skip being able to snipe from so far away, accurately snipe birds from so far away that the Strats couldn't even see the island that he was shooting from. So it would make no sense for Van Augur not to be able to hit Beppo. Like in theory, Beppo could be like he could reach the next island over, and Van Augur would still, in theory, be able to snipe him or something like that. But that's just not the way it goes. And then Blackbeard, his whole ability is literally one, gravity, so in theory he could vortex him back. Or if you say, well, no, maybe Beppo got too far away, then Blackbeard's other ability is tsunamis. So he could literally flip the fucking ocean upside down or call in waves or really, like, there's no reason Beppo should have been able to get away. There's just no reason. But it had to happen for the story, right? So same thing here. You just need the characters to get away, so they get away. And Sabo we can assume is a fast character, right? Delorax, thanks for the 5. The bird Gorosei will have the legendary 5th devil fruit that grants you the ability to fly. Haven't there been more than that at this point? I swear we've got more than 5 devil fruits that let you fly. I feel like every fucking devil fruit, every other devil fruit gives you the ability to fly. Luffy's fruit lets him fly at this point. Yeah, the characters I was talking about were Silat, Rickert, and the girls. Yeah, I'm a little rusty on some of the Berserk side characters' names for sure. But, yeah, there's really just 3 groups moving around in Berserk, which, again, isn't a bad thing. Like, just, it's good to be focused on small groups of characters for sure. It's just that, like, you can't really compare One Piece's, the number of shit it's got, the number of things it's got going on right now to any other manga, because it's just, there's no comparison. 20, thank you. Oh, sorry. 02657, thank you for the 20. Sorry, you've got a lot of numbers in your names. I'm just word vomiting. You taking bids for background decorations. How much do I need to donate to get Crocomom added to the wall in some way? You have donated enough, my friend, to request Crocomom, but unfortunately, I'm not taking requests. I'm not putting Crocomom in the background. I need to redo the background to actually set up the shelves and shit that I've had in storage for the longest time. Oh wait, there's also something kind of cool that I want to put in the background, but I don't know if, hold on. Okay, you guys will see it when you see it. Thinking about buying it. Joe Jodawin, thank you for the 11. Hey, Mr. Morp, I've seen a lot of people saying that this chapter had Imu's first dialogue, but wasn't he the one in chapter 1060 when he said Lelucia Kingdom never existed? Yeah, this is his first dialogue, right? So like first time talking with somebody instead of just muttering weird things to himself, like a solo act, you know? Guys, let's get the stream likes to 300. Sumarization, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 4 months. I think the Gorosei being zones means they aren't going to be final matchups since we had enough of that in Wano, unless it's some crazy almost Logia stuff. I mean, the flip side to that though is that, and you know what? I should make a thing to start keeping track of some ideas for Gorosei's fruits, right? The flip side to that to me is that in Wano, I remember personally, something that I was slightly disappointed with was the fruits that a lot of the Beast Pirates had, you know, because the Beast Pirates, at the end of the day, they only had, they didn't have a ton of, how do I say this? Yeah, no, they didn't have a ton of mythical zones, you know? I will put down some of the suggestions that we had. So before we had Garuda, okay, so Hindu inspired stuff. Garuda, bird, Nandi, ox, Ganesh, elephant. What was I saying? That is not. Hello? Okay. Actually, this seems a bit too small. Yeah, I think that in Wano, because the Beast Pirates didn't have a lot of mythical zones, I was a little disappointed. I was like, who is Oda saving? Like, what is he saving all the mythical zones for? If he's not going to use it in Wano, where we're fighting the Beast Pirates, because at the end of the day, only Kaido and Yamato had a Beast Zone, but she was on the good guy's side. Mythical zone, and she was on the good guy's side. And then Orochi had a mythical zone, and Orochi was a really weak fighter, so it just felt pointless for him to have the mythical zone. Orochi in general felt like a rather pointless character to me. I do think that King and Queen, at least the Calamities, it would have been cool if they had some mythical zones instead. But, at the end of the day, they had other stuff. Queen had his cybernetic enhancements. King was Lunarian. So it all made sense in the end. There were strong characters in the end, obviously. But I think it makes a lot of sense if Oda's been saving some of the mythical zones for the endgame. I was like, which characters are going to have mythical zones if not for the Beast Pirates? I guess it's the Gorosei. Reflexy, thank you very much. If I learned anything from last summer's break, it's to not let the cliffhanger gaslight you just because you got an entire month to think about it. Yeah, do you guys remember last year's cliffhanger before the month break? Because that one was insane and it tricked everybody. All right, let me pull this out. Last year's cliffhanger was, does anybody remember? It was the Green Bull chapter. I think chapter 954. And this chapter tricked us all in like a million different... Why is this not... shit, I forgot. There's like a problem with the... Damn it. This site, for some reason, it has every chapter, but specifically some of the chapters like in the 950s, it stopped loading them well for me. And it's happened in like the last... Okay, so if I refresh it a couple times, it works, but it's happened a lot recently. It wasn't 954, though. It was 1054. So at least that's not going to be a problem here. Anyway. So we had this chapter end with... Wait, am I crazy? Was it 1054 or 1055? Which chapter did it? Maybe it was 1052. Maybe I'm getting it all wrong. 1052, 1053? Which chapter was it? It was the chapter that ended with, the Green Bull stuff. I'm just going to go with TCB. I don't know why it's been having trouble loading things for me from the Wano arc in general. But with, chapter 1053, the way that it ended was very much like setting up Green Bull in a very menacing light, such that it seemed as though there was about to be like a sort of like scary ending to this entire arc, and it seemed as though the Marines, like a lot of people were going nuts saying that basically like, wait, Green Bull might, like, do you guys remember this? People were saying that Green Bull might be stronger than Kaido. That was a discussion that was happening at this point in time, because just the manner in which he was being introduced, it was like he shows up, new admiral, King and Queen are defeated, King and Queen are completely defeated. He's talking as though they were no difficulty to him. And he's talking about how these guys are all celebrating and stuff, but they've forgotten about us, the Marines. It basically sets everything up for a very ominous sort of situation, where a lot of people believe that Green Bull would be the strongest admiral. Some people were saying that, wait, the admirals might be stronger than Kaido and Big Mom all along. Wait, things might get fucked up at the party and everything like that. And then, like, 2 chapters later, all the Green Bull hype was dead. Everyone was basically on the train of, okay, never mind, that guy kind of sucks. not exactly the best admiral we've got, around these parts. Devin Udaram, thanks for the 5. I gotta bring you to my temple to give your take on Ganesh. We all need it. I think I told the story pretty much completely right? Remix King, thanks for the 2. Most memorable Hindu reference in Pokemon Adventures. Well, Pikachu is a reference to Ganesh, as we all know. People are saying no one said this? Are you guys crazy? You guys don't remember this at all? There was a lot of discussion about Green Bull being stronger than, potentially being stronger than Kaido. You guys don't remember this? Are you guys not on Twitter? You guys don't see, YouTube comments and stuff? I can go back to my stuff from those videos. A lot of people are saying, wait, the Green Bull might be stronger than, Admirals and stuff like that during the break. Or, sorry, Green Bull might be the strongest Admiral, and Green Bull might be stronger than Kaido. I don't know what you guys are talking about. This was it all went away within 2 chapters once the Shanks scene happened, but the hype for Green Bull was absolutely insane when he first showed up. Connor Hilliard says people were def saying it. Chad gaslighting Morj. Yeah, it was a very, very common discussion. People did say that. They def did. There was discussion about it. Yeah, it was a very common thing. I mean, it's the same, it might be easy to forget just because of the way things went shortly afterwards, but it was a very, very different view on Green Bull back when that chapter first came out. Especially the 1 week break or the 1 month break really exacerbated it too. I think it's similar to, the Gorosei. We're all really excited about it now. Well, what if in 2 months it turns out the Gorosei aren't that strong, Then it might be easy to forget how many people were saying that the Gorosei might be admirals, admiral level or admiral level plus at this point in time, Because that's a lot of people right now. Just last week we did the poll and 60% of people said that the Gorosei are as strong as admirals or stronger. Surreal Soviet, thanks for the 5. I hope not all of the Gorosei are zones. I assume some of them are like Magellan with his Hydra or Karasu with his crows to make these forms. Yeah, it's hard to say because what gets me is only one of them is awakened or has the awakened, the traditional awakened imagery, with the clouds around him, which is, I don't know why Oda made that choice. Manny Corral, thanks for the 5. To be fair, ancient Zoans are still rather crazy to have an entire 9-up in the Tobiropo and Calamities. Yeah, they're kind of it's just that past a certain point, it's what difference when it's a mythical Zoan, it feels like it comes with a set of special abilities, Kaido has all of these weather-related and fire-related abilities. Yamato has ice stuff. Marco, obviously, the Phoenix Fruit gives so much versatility. So it feels and Luffy's Nika Fruit, obviously, the most versatile fruit out there, right? So it feels like mythical Zoans are actually a huge upgrade, right, in that sense, right? In that they're upgrading your physical stats, but also the actual abilities you can use, right? With ancient Zoans, the reason that they feel a little underwhelming to me is just because it doesn't feel it's how do I say this? There's nothing that really we just know that it's supposed to be stronger than a normal it's supposed to be stronger than a normal Zoan fruit. We're just told that it's supposed to be stronger, but it's kind of if I'm reading Who's Who, to me, my perception of how strong Who's Who is wouldn't be that, if he had a lion fruit versus a saber-tooth lion fruit, how much does that really change what I'm seeing on the page from his fighting style? The buff that he gets from transforming into a saber-tooth lion versus a lion, it's just, technically, logically, we can know that it's very different, but it just doesn't feel that different to me reading it, because it's how much would this really change his fight with Jinbei? You know what I mean? Same thing with Sasaki. If he just transformed into like an elephant instead of a triceratops or whatever, it just feels like, how much is that really changing my perception of the fight and what's going on? I don't think it would that much, to me personally. Deshaun the Champ Hampton says, "My ma think you cute, bruh. You trying to take her on a date?" Yeah, if you're okay with that, sure. Send her over. Mech Lord, thanks for the 5. Poor Aramaki, another unfortunate victim of Shanks' unnecessary and unneeded hype. No, I think that was a good. I think that Shanks needs that type of hype because he's just set up to be that. Like, if he's supposed to be that dude for the end of the story, then you need to give him moments like that. Side note that Break was full of. Side note that Break was full of admirals greater than Yonko believers. Yeah, I mean, like, people are going like, "Oh, that was stupid. That people were stupid and stuff." Now, but it's like, just because that's how you think about it now, because we all know better now, that doesn't change the fact that that was a tremendous amount of discussion, or at least a very, very large portion of discussion during that time period was dedicated to, wait, could Green Bull be stronger than Kaido? And 2, could admirals still be just as strong or stronger than Yonko? Because there's just a lot to talk about. Like, the way that chapter ended, right before going into a break, it was sort of an ominous final panel to leave on. Green Bull got a really hype introduction. He seemed pretty badass coming in. And finally, it was kind of just like, wait, we're done with the Yonko. A lot of people still felt like the Yonko were overcome a little in a somewhat underwhelming fashion, particularly Big Mom. So people were ready to be excited about the next thing. So people were like, okay, this is why Oda's been saving the Marines and the Admirals, because now he's going to show that they're the strongest all along. These were all common talking points. I'm not saying that that's what I was saying. You can go back through my videos and see, like, I've always kind of been on the Yonko greater than Admirals train. But at the same time, that was something that was very, very common. I think you could even go back to streams during that time when I was trying to see, like, how strong people think Green Bull was. And there was a large vocal portion of people that thought that he was going to be as strong or stronger than Kaido. And you know who's in my streams? You guys. So I don't know who you're pointing fingers at. I don't know what to say. I'm trying to rewrite history here. Erland Ochoa, interesting name. Thoughts on Zoro plus Sanji tag teaming Kizaru and Green Bull. Colors solves Green Bull downplay, fixes lack of post-Mihawk opponents. After achieving their individual dreams, they set aside the rivalry to truly become the wings of the Pirate King. I mean, I think Zoro and Sanji always set aside their rivalry to be the wings of... Like, they always prioritize winning over their own rivalry. I think the only time that they really didn't was in a gag game format, which was the Davy backfight. And that was because it was such a... It felt like it was a game, right? Obviously, they had their crew members on the line and stuff like that, but the way that the whole Groggy Monsters fight started and everything like that, and just the general tone of that arc was somewhat comedic. So once they got their asses beat and they're like, okay, we got to be serious. Obviously, from there, they set aside their rivalry and, you know, they won pretty easily, right? And I think generally beyond that, anytime the situation is at all serious, so you see Enies Lobby, with them both leading the charge on Enies Lobby, you see Thriller Bark with them fighting Oars together and everything, you see even in Wano with them going side by side to take out King and Queen, you know, their entrance and everything like that. In general, Zoro and Sanji, it's always been a recurring thing where, like, the rivalry immediately gets put to the side the moment more important matters are at hand. As for them teaming up versus Kizaru and Green Bull, I think that no matter what, I mean, Zoro's going to get whoever the stronger admiral is, no matter what. It's tricky, though, because Kizaru feels like a better matchup, like a more fun and interesting matchup for Sanji. So I'm kind of like, and Green Bull's a swordsman. So it's hard for me to imagine Green Bull being stronger than Kizaru. So if you're saying, well, they tag team him, so it's kind of like switching off and they're fighting both of them, that could be interesting. Because I would hate to see, you know, Zoro fighting Green Bull Sanji fighting Kizaru makes more sense to me on paper, but Kizaru seems stronger than Green Bull, so Zoro fighting Kizaru also technically fits in terms of the patterns that we would expect. I would rather Sanji not be the one to have to fight Green Bull, just because if Sanji fights Green Bull, then people are going to discredit Sanji quite a bit for that fight, because people already shit on Green Bull. So if Sanji's the one that gets that fight, then a lot of people are going to be saying like, well, Green Bull wasn't even a real admiral or something like that, you know? So I hope that Sanji at least gets something against Kizaru. And maybe them tag teaming it would be the best way for it to go. That could be cool. Ali H, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 7 months. Yo Morj, the Reverie's been insane. Thoughts on the leaks of Oda 1 month break after 1086? And what do you think of Imu controlling the Gorosei silhouettes? Okay, so let's start from the top. The Reverie's been insane. I agree. I'm so happy that we tuned back into the Reverie, because I remember when we cut away, I thought that we were going to keep cutting back to the Reverie during the Wano arc, because the Reverie is just too exciting to stay away from. That's what I was thinking. In retrospect, I think it was clear that, well, one, as we're going through the Wano arc and we're not cutting back to the Reverie, I started to feel like, oh shit, so like, Oda kind of decided that stuff doesn't make sense for time, we just can't really focus on it. That's okay, right? Now I realize that it's not that Oda was cutting it for time, it's that he did not want to detract from the events of the Wano arc by cutting away to potentially more interesting things in the middle of the arc. Oda's style has always been save that outside world building stuff for later and then cut back. Save it for later, then come back, right? Sorry, let me rephrase that. Outside world building stuff, then inside an arc, then outside world building stuff, right? He always does that because he doesn't want to detract from what's happening within an arc during the arc itself, right? With the Reverie, I kind of assumed that we were just abandoning it as we kept going through the Wano arc, and even in between acts, we're not cutting away to the Reverie or anything like that. However, now I realize that what Oda was really doing was he was giving us a teaser of what's happening in the Reverie. Then we get the Wano arc, we exit the Wano arc, we're told that a lot of shit has changed in the outside world, and now we're finally getting to have those gaps filled in. The reason that is not detracting from Egghead Island is because it's actually, we're getting everything filled in at the perfect point that it will add to the excitement of the Egghead Island climax when we cut back to Egghead Island. So, it's not like all of the stuff that's happening outside is unrelated. We're getting lots of context. We're getting lots of context on what the ramifications could be of Vegapunk and his knowledge, etc., being spread out across the world, or him escaping, and the ramifications of the Marines choosing to target Luffy and his crew despite everything else that's going on in the world right now, and what Imu's state of mind is and what he might be really trying to do in terms of like trying to wipe out Luffy right now. And finally, we're getting the Gorosei showing up to Egghead Island, which has a lot more meaning now that we know what's up with the Gorosei. You know what I mean? So I think the way Oda's doing it here is like really, really clever to make Egghead Island way more exciting. Because again, normally it'd be like, oh, he's cutting away to random shit. Like, how does that like, oh, the random shit's more exciting than seeing the Strats fight the Seraphim in the arc and stuff like that. The arc itself is not as exciting as the outside world, but it is exciting if everything that's happening in the outside world is providing more weight to what's about to happen at the climax of the current arc, you know? Samuel Hart, thanks for the 2. Zoro and Sanji fight Kizaru and Luffy fight Saturn. Let me do a quick poll. Do you guys think, is Saturn stronger or Kizaru? This is where we see where people are really at. Is Saturn stronger or Kizaru? Let's see what the people have to say. This is a big question. This is a big, big question. Oh, it's tight. It's at 50-50. It is tight. All right, I'm going to give it 15 seconds. This is really tight. This is interesting. Okay. Let me rephrase. You have to, your life is on the line right now. Your life is on the line, bullet, gun to your head, right? Gun to your head. Your life depends on getting this right. Who is a stronger character? Who will be revealed to be stronger? Saturn or Kizaru? I'm going to give 5 more seconds to answer. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The people say Kizaru. How would I answer? The people say Kizaru by, like, it's a 55-45 split. Very, very tight. Miss Super Chat? Let me see real quick. How would I answer? Gun to my head. I have to make a call right now. Shit. I would roll with Kizaru. If a gun was to my head, I would roll with Kizaru just because he's already established. So it's like a safer bet. You know what I mean? It's like, well, we know how strong. We know admirals are crazy strong, right? We already know admirals are crazy strong. So there's just more established for Kizaru. So if I've got to like bet my life, I'd be like Kizaru, just because it's like it's possible. There's a possibility that Saturn is just like commander level or something like. There's a possibility the Gorosei is not as strong as we expect, or even that the Gorosei is just a puppet controlled by Imu, like some people have suggested, things like that. But at the end of the day, we know how strong Kizaru is, so that's why I'll roll with Kizaru, but I could really see it going either way at this point. Okay, what's the Miss Super? Okay. Jake Cash. Ah, shit. Jake Cash says, Lily had Kuma's fruit to scatter the glyphs. No, dude. That's an okay, there's a greater theory that I kind of have around all of that, which is why I don't want it discussed as much, but I just know that I agree with you, basically. So the 1 month break is going to be good because there's several topics that I want to address that, you know, when new things are happening week to week, sometimes you kind of got to set aside something you want to talk about because something exciting happened in that given week. So you got to address that instead. But the 1 month break's nice because you get to talk about more shit that you kind of have saved up. So the Kuma fruit, I think, is very, very important for a variety of reasons. I think it's important then, and I think it's going to be important now, and I agree with you. Samuel Hart, thanks for the 2. Zoro, oh no, we covered this. Hiaistan, Yu Yu Hakusho reference. Thanks for the 5. Could Akainu fight on Luffy's side in the final war? Seems like Imu's side has a lot of strong fighters with the Gorosei. Would Akainu follow Imu? I don't think Akainu would follow Imu. I think Akainu may shift. I think part of the reason that the Marines are being given more and more of their own, Kizaru's a safer bet. That's why I'm rolling with it. Like, so if a gun was to my head and I got to pick, I'd go with Kizaru just because he's a safer bet. But I wouldn't be surprised if Saturn is stronger. As for Akainu, I feel like part of the reason that Imu is getting more and more shit, you know, as part of his squad. So he's got Seraphim, he's got CP0. Like, before it was just CP0 that we knew, right? CP0, they were the direct subordinates of the Celestial Dragons. Now we know that it's CP0 are bottom of the barrel in terms of helping the Celestial Dragons. We know that the Gorosei are obviously strong. The Seraphim are shaping up to be strong. I hope that they survive through Egghead Island, because I just think it's a waste for Oda to tease their full potential and then never show us. And then finally the God's Knights, right? So that's 3 groups on top of the CP0 that are all really, really strong. So I think part of the reason that Oda would be doing that is giving the Celestial Dragons, and by extension Imu, their own force that is separate from the Marines. And that becomes more and more important as we go, just because the Marines the Marines may not be as obedient to the Celestial Dragons come the end of the story, possibly. Caleb Brown, thanks for the 2. If Saturn was stronger, why would he need a bodyguard? I mean, like, everybody it's still it's not needing a bodyguard necessarily. Well, was Kizaru called his bodyguard in there? I mean, it's just having having another strong fighter accompany you. You know, was Kizaru called a bodyguard there? Are people now finding out about the one? Oh, I'm so sorry. Some of you guys didn't know that there's a 1 month break coming. That's hilarious. Rock Nation Brunch, thanks for the 5. I think this is the last chapter outside of Egghead before month-long break. Crazy to think I forgot the Blackbeard parts are at Egghead, lol. Yeah, that's the thing. So this is my, again, for those of you who are not here at the beginning of the stream, just reiterating my take on the 1 month break. I don't know if there's been any details that have come out recently on Twitter or whatever, if it's health related or what, but I just feel like I am not going to assume that it's health related. Unless we haven't had any indication of Oda health problems in some time. So I'm not going to assume it's health related. I like to believe, like you just said, the Blackbeard parts thing, right? Like Rock Nation Brunch just said, crazy to think I forgot that the Blackbeard parts are at Egghead, lol. So I'm there too. I forgot that the Blackbeard parts are there. I mean, obviously, if I had to think about it, I was like, if I had to think about where each group is, I would remember that some Blackbeard parts are headed there. But there's so many other things that you just forget about, like, what's going on with Weevil and stuff like that, right? Like, there's random characters and threads and stuff going on right now that you can think of that you just forgot about. So imagine Oda, who is the schedule that this man has to follow. It is mind-boggling, right? Because he gets almost no sleep. He needs to spend a lot of time doing things like, how to say, like, he has to spend a lot of time doing, like, not just the drawing, the writing process, the inking, all of that stuff. He has to handle the business side of things as well, right? Outside things that are happening, right? Live action, movies, blah, 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 overseeing things like that. Drawing color spreads and shit like that, drawing cover stories, shit like that. He has to do so much, and then he also needs time to plan out further ahead what's happening in the story, right? And then he has health problems, and he needs to take breaks to spend time with his family. So, with all that being said, considering that the final saga right now, is the most complex One Piece has ever been, and dare I say the most complex, I don't think this would be wild to say. I think that whatever's happening in One Piece right now, based on it being a 1,000+ chapter epic that actually keeps the vast majority of its characters active it's the vast majority of its important side characters active in the story, and actually has continued to build more and more and more plot threads rather than like siphoning them down or tightening them down. I think that what Oda is trying to do right now for this final stretch of One Piece is like the most ambitious week-to-week writing that has ever happened in Shonen Jump, easy. Probably in manga, easy. Maybe in anything. The most ambitious week-to-week writing schedule, right? Because I think it's because other mediums don't work like this. If you're a comic book writer, you get time to work on your stuff, right? If you're a graphic novel writer, you get time to work on your stuff. If you're a novelist, you get time to work. If you're a TV script writer, you are generally working with other people. Oda is a one-man machine that has to do all of this shit, right? Say what you will about if you don't like certain aspects of the story or whatever. He's a one-man machine having to do all of this shit week to week with by far the most complex world and variety of plot threads at play for a week-to-week series. I think that you can imagine at any point in time, like in just any work, right? In any work, if somebody has something that's a challenger that matches both what Oda's having to do, also in the time frame that he has to do it, please inform me right now, because maybe I don't know, but there's nothing I can imagine that comes even remotely close. So with that in mind, right, that's why I think a 1 month break or something like that would be warranted. I mean, just look at the Black Clover author who's writing a much simpler story. He took, I think, a 3-month break to plan out how his final saga would go. Yes, Oda took a 1 month break last year, but that was before the final saga even began, right? And he was spending some of that time traveling to oversee the One Piece live action. If Oda, now that he's in the swing of the final saga, and it's still only partway through the first arc, and it is insane, like, how many plot lines have we cut between over the last several weeks? We've cut between so many different plot lines, right? We've cut between, obviously, Egghead Island, but then Law, Blackbeard, Garp. Do you guys even remember the fucking Garp Aokiji? Like, when I'm listing these things, it's not just plot threads. These are also character lines, right? Aokiji is a plot thread in and of itself, right? Blackbeard, the Blackbeard parts have split into 3 separate plot threads. One that is on the island, one that is heading towards Egghead, and then Blackbeard and Van Augur and Burgess and stuff who are currently separate. So the Law Pirates, Blackbeard Pirates, 3 separate groups, Aokiji, Garp, Kobe, whatever happens with Kobe. Then you've got Kid, Shanks, whatever the fuck Shanks is doing. Cross Guild is heading in a new direction. Weevil just got captured and some shit's going on with Weevil and Marco and Baki now. Maybe that'll connect back to Egghead in some way. By the way, Bonnie's on Egghead doing something and it's related to Kuma, who's now at Marijua, where we just had the Reverie and Cobra died, and now Vivi and Wapple and Morgans are off on their own adventure doing something that'll probably tie back to Sabo and the Revolutionaries, who are now learning about what happened at the Lucia Kingdom. Like, what the, like, it is fucking mind-boggling how much shit is going on in the story, and I probably forgot several things. So, I think that there's a big difference between Oda taking a break at the end of Wano and, like, kind of planning out what's gonna have to happen, you know, up in the time coming up, versus what's going on right now, which is Oda is smack dab in the middle of 50 different plot lines and character threads that are happening. And, yeah, probably to handle it well, now that he's set it all up, he probably needs a 1-month break, and maybe he'll need it again at some point in the future. Maybe it happens once a year at this point. But I view it as a good sign, personally, that he's trying to take the time to think about this stuff. Yeah, Bartolomeo. Bartolomeo, what the fuck Bartolomeo is up to? What the fuck happens with Sai and Leo and all that shit? Zero says, "Who cares about Oda's family? We his family." I feel like he cares about his family, man. Nick Dawson, thanks for the 5. Oda has been bringing the heat ever since his last 1-month break. That's true. If this is how the story will be after yearly 1-month breaks, then sign me up. Whatever it takes to make this final section of the story as smooth as possible. A's an Animation says, "I think his art looks fine, to be honest." I mean, it's generally not, like, generally reading chapters are just messy and kind of ugly for the most part, but I think we still get good panels. Like, I think the panels of Im and the Gorosei from last chapter were really cool, like them all transformed, them chasing Sabo were cool. So that's just where it's at. You can't have everything at this point. I think what I dislike more is how fast certain chapters have to go by, where it feels like there's very little room for a scene to breathe. But I didn't feel that for the last chapter, right? So I think the scenes that matter, we get the time for. And I think in general, we've been getting chapters at with a slower sort of pacing lately. I think Egghead, it was starting to get tight, like a little bit more rushed again, but I think for the most part, it's all good nowadays. Guys, let's get the stream likes to 400. Oh, wait. We totally forgot about the Gorosei fruits. What's going on with the Gorosei fruits? All right. Does anyone have any good things? Good other ideas? Where the wild things are. That's the other option, right? Everybody likes the wild things theory. You guys saw that one, right? Where the wild things are. That's just a theory. It's so fucking random, but like I guess maybe it's possible. All right. Impel Down Beasts. Okay, so the Impel Down Beasts, it's kind of like I don't know if you guys know the Impel Down Beast connection, but let me pull it up. Impel Down Beasts, Gorosei. Sure, I'll find something on Google Images. Yeah, here we go. So here's what I'm seeing with the Impel Down Beasts, right? We've got. So, okay, this is a great way to break it down, right? So, some people think that the Impel Down Beasts match up really well with the Gorosei, because we've got a Minotaur-looking creature here. We've got the Minotaurs there, obviously. We've got a Rhino and a Rhino. Somebody thinks that the Koala matches this. I could kind of see it, but I thought that this is the bird, to be honest. But then we got the Basilisk over here. Like, I thought that this is all part of the bird, but I kind of get it. At the very least, the Rhino matching this, the Minotaur matching this, the basilisk matching this. There's stuff there, right? And then the devil form. So there's stuff there. I get that. That's an interesting idea. Sabo had that particular quote that it's like I've stepped into hell. And what's interesting is that, this hell was at the top of the world, as Sabo said. Impel Down is the other location in One Piece that is commonly referred to as hell. At the bottom of the world, maybe more fittingly, but, irony and all that, right? Bunfagum, thanks for the 279. Will Zoro be more relative to Luffy end of story than Sanji? Oh my god. Why you gotta come in with a toxic question like that? I think it'll, and I've said this before, I think that, the way Oda does Luffy, Zoro, Sanji is that it's always meant to be ambiguous and that you can always make an argument in either direction. I think there are points in the story that it feels like I talked about this during Wano. I made a video about it, and at the time everybody was like, yeah, it makes, like, most people that watched it got what I was saying, but then a little while later it just shifted away from how do I say this? Okay, the argument I made was that Oda will go out of his way to portray Luffy and Zoro as being relatively close to each other at points, and then he'll do it with Zoro and Sanji, and that's just going to keep going back and forth. So, in Wano, it was almost so fucking on the nose, in my opinion, in that he starts off with Zoro and Luffy being on the roof together, and Sanji being down below. And there's a whole extended sequence where it's mainly Luffy, like, yeah, the other supernovas are there, but there's no way to spin it. On the roof, Luffy and Zoro, when everybody was there, they were kind of the two stars of the show. They were the ones doing the most work. They're the ones that were freaking out Kaido and Big Mom the most, pulling out the biggest reactions. The other supernova were the most impressed by them as well. You had Kid and Law, etc., basically being like, holy shit, how are they doing all this stuff? In general, Kaido and Big Mom were most shook by Luffy and Zoro, and they got the biggest highlight moments, etc., right? Then it was done. For, like, Zoro's time up there was done, right? It was like, okay, now, it's Luffy's, ultimately it's the Luffy show, right? So it's time for Luffy to fight Kaido, moving Zoro back downstairs. Then it was time to portray Zoro and Sanji as being kind of relative to each other, so they're taking on King and Queen, right? And they're being portrayed as the two wings of the king and stuff like that, right? Yeah, and then Zoro fights King, Sanji fights Queen. They both get their power-ups and demolish them, so they both look good at the end of it. Like, it's just, when you're saying, like, it's just always going to be recency biased on who does Oda portray Zoro as closer to, Luffy or Sanji. Because you can look throughout the series, and there'll be points where it's like, okay, Zoro's clearly being portrayed as closer to Luffy, and Sanji seems further behind. In fact, you could make the argument that for most of post-time skip up to Wano, Zoro was probably closer to Luffy than he was to Sanji. But then now you're at a point where it's like, well, we don't know. Maybe Zoro's supposed to be closer to Sanji again, and Luffy's supposed to be head and shoulders above. It's hard to say. At the same time, we have Luffy and Zoro. They were both just teaming up together to fight a Seraphim and both doing about the same, while Sanji's looking really good downstairs. So, I don't know. I think it's a very flexible. I think it's supposed to be a nebulous relationship between those three. I think it's always supposed to be Luffy is greater than Sanji, right? There's always going to be a gap there, right? I think Oda pretty much never portrays Sanji as equal or comparable to Luffy, right? And then the question just comes like, who does Oda portray Zoro as closer to? And I think that just shifts back and forth over the course of the story, because you'd be lying if you said that there weren't scenes that indicate both. It's just that it oscillates. All right, where are we at? Nick Dawson, thanks for the 5. Oda has been bringing the heat ever since his last 1 month break. Oh no, we covered this already, right? If this is how the story will be, yeah. We covered this. Okay, I'm caught up now. Titanium Dragon, thanks for the 5. They are aliens, or at least just Imu. I'm gonna throw down aliens. I'll put down the Impel Down Guard. Okay, when people say that they're like the Impel Down Guards, what are they saying? Are they saying like the true versions of the Impel Down Guards, like the actual Minotaur fruit, etc.? Because there's no Minnow Rhinoceros fruit there should be there should be a mythical Zoan Minotaur, right? Because the Minotaur is an actual mythical being. But there is also the Basilisk is also an actual mythical being. This is interesting. I wonder how the Gorosei are actually going to turn out to be. I'll put it down. Okay, now you're saying aliens, right? Aliens. Titanium Dragon is saying aliens. I mean, they could be Lunarian, but that doesn't explain their transformations. Then 2, has nobody... I'll put down aliens. That's all we need. Has nobody brought up the monsters from the end of Thriller Bark? The Gorosei are enhanced humans. I don't think the monsters in Thriller Bark matter. I've always been on that stance that it's just like a horror movie type trope that Oda is invoking at the end of Thriller Bark. That's not supposed to get an actual answer. That's my take on it. So I kind of just don't... There's a couple things I kind of just don't think about when it comes to One Piece anytime it's brought up, which is anytime that somebody tries to come up with an explanation of like, oh, could this character be Shiki? Or could this be the Thriller Bark monsters? Anytime those two come up, I kind of just don't... I tune out. Not because... I think that those things could be possible, but I guess, like, maybe I'm completely wrong about that, but I have personally kind of just chalked those up as being, okay, Shiki, movie, one and done. He's not going to be something that Oda reincorporates into the actual main narrative. 2, Thriller Bark monsters, okay, that is a horror movie trope that Oda is invoking as a sort of playful little thing. It works better by never revisiting it. Leviathan, thank you. Sabo says, it's like I'm in hell, and we know who the king of hell is, just saying. Yeah, the self-proclaimed king of hell. Zoro. The self-proclaimed king of hell. He also yells it when nobody's around, which is really weird. It's kind of like being in the shower and then just yelling, I'm the king of hell. It's like, okay, man. Let's get the stream likes to 400. Basim El Madawi, thanks for the 2. Emu ate the Lord of the Coast Devil Fruit, lol. So funnily enough, I've always wondered why there's no mythical Zoan Sea King fruit. Shouldn't there be? Even if no, not even mythical Zoan. It should just be a Zoan Sea King because Sea Kings are normal creatures in the One Piece world. Rekra says Kawamatsu is Shiki. Wow, what a plot twist. Whatever says it's always Shiki. Yeah, maybe Emu's Shiki. Maybe we've all been looking in the wrong place. Emu was just Shiki all along. Okay, do we have any other good ideas for the Gorosei fruits? I'm actually kind of surprised that there's not... I thought that people would have a lot of ideas for this, because I don't. In my mind, I'm just like, there's some cool zones, and we'll find out what they are soon, but I have no fucking idea. Laser Mecha Frog says King of Cringe. I would agree that was a King of Cringe moment. Burb Shadow equals Cockatrice Devil Fruit. If we're rolling with that, I would say Basilisk makes more sense to me. Basilisk is pretty cool. Miles Weber says, I think the Chinese zodiac, considering the planets are based off of the 5 elements in Chinese culture. Wait, so then what's Saturn? Zodiac signs Saturn? Zodiac animals? Saturn? What am I looking up here? How does it add up, though? Because there's 9 planets and 12 zodiac signs, right? I don't get it. I didn't know that the planets are related to zodiac signs. Unless you're wrong about that. Maybe you're wrong about that. Bunfagum, thanks for the 7. If Zoro is stronger, one of Luffy's wings would be larger. This is impossible, thus Zoro and Sanji will always be equal. I guess depending on how literally you take the wings analogy. Sure. Yeah, planets are not zodiacs, says Akash Panda. Yeah, that doesn't seem right to me. star constellations. Yeah, I just don't know. I don't think there's a zodiac similarity there. So then, in that case, though, just for fun, are there any animals associated with Saturn? Saturn animal. Alligator? No, never mind. This is a real world alligator. What is the symbol of God Saturn? A sickle. That doesn't help us at all. Alright, so this is kind of a dead end. Some planets pull double duty. I could see the bird being a griffin. Ryuchi says, what if, and hear me out, the Gorosei are just creations of Imu's power and they can be whatever they want him to be. Whatever they want them to be. I have seen that. I have considered that as an option. I think here we're rolling with... The one thing is that the Gorosei do seem to have their own thoughts. Like, they're surprised when Im shows up. They're surprised. They don't automatically know what Im is thinking, but maybe it's kind of... Wait a second. The reason I'm thinking right now is this a stream thing I point out or a video thing I point out? Because if it's a video thing I point out, then I get a full video out of it. If it's a stream, if it's not enough, let me write some stuff down. Better move this notepad to the other monitor. If it's making sense a lot, then I save it for a video. If it's not making much sense, then I just share it right now. Okay. Hold on. Okay, everybody shut up. I gotta think. Let's get the stream likes to 400. Yeah, obviously you guys want me to share it on stream. Arthur Chekowitz. Thanks. The Gorosei got the mythical Hito Hito of 1992 Olympics. Dream Team, Imu is the coach. Umair Ula. Thanks for the 5. Morj, I think Shanks is still stronger than Mihawk, but Marine Hunter is without a doubt one of the craziest and wildest epithets in all of One Piece. Marine Hunter is the coolest epithet in all of One Piece. I would agree with that. Because it's just like... That's the one thing that you should never be allowed... Like, that's the most, like, not allowed thing that you can really be as a criminal, right? Hunting the police is a big no-no in general. Because the police really hate you when you hunt the police. Basim El Madawi, thanks for the 2. Mangaka Devil Fruit giving them abilities. So the Mangaka Devil Fruit, that's been thrown around a lot, right? I did not get the sense of a Mangaka Devil Fruit from the last couple chapters, just Im's portrayal, even what he looked like transformed and stuff like that. So that has become an outside thought to me. But maybe it's possible. Maybe it's still possible. Maybe those are monsters that he drew or something. Papa Dogsucker, thanks for being a Yonko team member for 8 months. I will destroy you, Mork. Alright, good to know. Okay. I'm gonna leave this alone. I'm gonna say... Okay, I'll just share it with you guys. And we'll see if we get any other ideas out of it. Im being... Okay, so the idea that the Gorosei are all separate bodies from Im, or being controlled from him. I mean, like, the way that everything's going right now, it's the Oda likes his parallels and all of that shit, right? So we're in the Egghead Island arc. We're learning about Vegapunk, who has his mind actually split up among 6 bodies. I'm just wondering if there's any sort of parallel there, right? Between Im having his consciousness or something like that set up among 5 other Gorosei bodies that are the outer face of him, of the operation, right? That everybody else communicates with. I wonder if that's a thing. Yeah, purely just as a parallel to the Vegapunk stuff that we're getting right now. We're learning about Im, the same arc we're learning about Vegapunk, but I don't have anything else off of that. So if I don't have anything else off of that, it's not really a video, you know? For a moment, I was like, wait, there could be some stuff to come out of that, but it's not that, there's not that much evidence more to suggest that they are, like, beyond the Vegapunk parallel, there's not that much evidence to suggest that they're bodies that are generated from him. Robin V says Eam has their own trader too. What if it's Saturn? Who knows? Oh, spoilers are out. Spoilers are out. Armunaz 1994. Thanks for the 5. Imu has the mangaka no Mi model Oda. Turns anything he wants into a silhouette. That's funny, but can they still fight? Okay, spoilers are out. Everybody stop letting people spoil. Don't let anyone spoil. Shit, I kind of need to. I actually have to check the spoilers before the end of tonight because I need to know if I have to scrap tomorrow's video. Because tomorrow's video is about what if the spoilers immediately discredit it. I have to at least take a peek. Manny Corral, thanks for the 2. So Hito no Mi Oda is off the table? Dang. I think it's off the table. Lakara, thanks. What if Imu is an actual dragon like the last one left? We know dragons are important in One Piece, and in fiction, ancient and powerful dragons usually have a human form. I guess it's just, to me, it would be repetitive if Luffy fights a dragon again, you know? Because he fought one in literally the storyline before, right? Like, the conclusion to the Versus 4 Yonko saga was Luffy fighting a dragon. The conclusion to the final saga is Luffy fighting a dragon. To me, that's just kind of repetitive. Yeah, ban spoilers and stuff. If I happen to see, that's not too bad because I have to check. Alex, thanks for the 5. I like the idea that the Greek/Roman god Devil Fruits the Gorosei makes sense based on how the ancient weapons are named. I don't know if we would invoke Greek gods across first of all, the Greek gods are very powerful. So like, you know, a Zeus Devil Fruit, that'd be kind of insane. Saturn and Kronos the same thing? Am I crazy? Saturn, Greek god. Is it Kronos? Yeah, it is Kronos. Kronos was the god of time. That'd be broken. The fact that they all turn into animals, and, you know, that's very different visually than you would think if they're turning into Greek god forms or something like that, you know? Bionox says, could Im be an alien? Yeah, I mean, I think that Im being a Lunarian is very, very possible. I don't know the spoilers, but I'm about to check. MB says, could Sabo and Dragon be dating? Yes. Man, I really want to check the spoilers. I just want to know for tomorrow's video if I need to scrap it or not. Okay. I'm not going to check. I'll wait till the stream is over. Yeah, I know technically, yeah, Nicus, Zandis, and Kronos was a titan, not a god. The gods are his favorite snack. Yeah, but they all come from the same, you know, it's the same idea, right? I know the general Greek mythology stuff. So specifically, it was like Gaia was the mother. I forget the name of the father, but it was like Father Sky or whatever. And then they fucked. They had the Titans, and then Kronos comes out, and then he takes a sickle, and cuts up his father, I'm fairly sure. And then Kronos has kids with, I want to say, Rhea? Am I crazy? That sounds right. And then he has several kids. 3 sons, 3 daughters. I think Zeus is the 6th child, his 3rd son. And then Zeus gets hidden away from Kronos, and then Zeus grows up, and then he makes Kronos cough up all of his other kids, and then the gods go to war. And there's some shit with Cyclopses, and some thunderbolts get made for Zeus, and then Zeus, I think Zeus even uses a sickle against Kronos or something. Different interpretations. I used to like Greek mythology a lot, but I don't remember all the details now. Mohamed Sadegi, thanks for the 2. Imu, Hito Hito no Mi, Model Pin Zoro. No, I think that would be too broken. It wouldn't really be, like, because that's, then you just have an overpowered villain, which is no fun. Ensan198, thanks for the 2. Thoughts on Imu having a shadow fruit? The problem is that Moria already had it. I'm Comp says, does he ever read the chat? I just did. Check the spoilers. I could check the spoilers and just not tell you guys, right? That's okay. I'm allowed to do that, right? I'll just check the spoilers and I won't even say anything. I'll just be quietly looking at the spoilers. Maybe you guys could read my facial expressions and somehow surmise what happens in the chapter, but I doubt it, you know? Let's see. I don't actually know where to look for spoilers, because usually they just show up somewhere on Twitter. They just come across my eye line. I've never actually, when I actively look out spoilers, in the cases I've done that, which have been like if I need to check if I need to cut out a video or something like that, then usually it's on the One Piece Reddit, but I don't even see it on the One Piece Reddit. Okay, I don't see any spoilers on Twitter, so I'm just gonna, you know what? I'll leave it alone. I won't even look. Alright, I'm not looking. I'm not looking, guys. Calm down. I didn't see it. Leave me alone. I'm not checking. You guys can stop spamming. I'm not checking. I checked Reddit. On Reddit it said One Piece predictions thread, not spoilers thread. Billy Bob with a great question. What do I think of the Heat tying the series 1-1? So I am actually rooting for the Nuggets in all of this. I would not mind if the Heat win at all. I would rather the Nuggets win. Because I think Jokic is the best. Like, I'm one of those guys that's like, if I feel like there's something really how do I say this? To me, there's two different things that are special that could happen from this. It's the third post on Reddit? No, I saw that there's only, the spoilers threads are always green. It's just One Piece chapter 110. Oh wait, never mind. Okay, it's just not in green. That's why I missed it. I just look at the very top. I don't look at the One Piece Reddit really. So I only look if, like, to me the important stuff is always in green at the top. Shit. Do I look at the spoilers or no? You guys gonna get upset? You guys gonna get upset if I look at the spoilers? Who's gonna get upset? I'm not going to talk about the spoilers, no matter what. Mohamed Sadeki, thanks for the 2. Emu is from the Morj family line of celestial dragons. Okay. I'm so torn. I'm looking at chat. No, do a poll. No, don't look. Okay, I'll do a poll. I'm not going to talk about him if I look. It's purely my own curiosity. So Sam Fowler says I'll get upset. I don't upset Sam. Ah, shit. Feast your eyes on forbidden knowledge. Peter Falk says let us see your reaction. Yeah, what's the harm in seeing my reaction to seeing spoilers that I will not share with you guys? Alright? Let me do a poll. Can I look at spoilers? I won't share what... I won't say what they are. You can just see my reactions. This is the closest we're getting to a react stream. Yes. No. On the other hand, though, I gotta say that seeing my expressions isn't fun because I'm not a very expressive like, you guys have watched me do chapter reactions occasionally. I'm not very expressive when I read chapters either. Alright, I think it's a pretty clear yes. I'm gonna read the spoilers, guys. I'm not gonna say anything, alright? Not gonna say anything. You're not gonna pick up anything. I'm gonna be absolute poker faced, alright? Well, no, I'm not gonna be poker. I'll if I'm gonna organically react to anything, you know, if something's really cool or something, you'll probably see some expressions on my face. I mean, I'm gonna be tight-lipped. I'm not gonna say what happens. All right, there'll be no details shared whatsoever. Mr. Crescent says spoilers not even that interesting in my opinion. Then what's the point? All right, let me read them anyway. All right, I'm gonna take a look. All right, let's read these. Okay, there's not even a lot. This will take me like 10 seconds. Okay, all I gotta say, this is not a spoiler. What I'm about to say is not a spoiler. These are one of those vague type spoilers where it's very, very hazy about what's even being shared, if that makes sense. It's not even like it's using things like a certain character. You know what I mean? It's those type of spoilers where they're just being a tease. Okay. These are the vaguest fucking spoilers ever. Okay, never mind. There's greater details below. I see. Sorry, there's some stuff that we'll laugh about together when the chapter comes out on Thursday. But yeah, there's just some stuff that I find very funny out of this. Interesting, okay. Alright, super interesting. Okay, very, 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 very interesting. Very interesting. Really interesting. Does not change my video for tomorrow. Um, but it might. Very interesting. That's all I gotta say. Rekra says the spoilers are showing your eyeball reflection, Morj. Alright. I'm excited. There's so much to talk about from this chapter. Hamdary Zer56 says it's tomorrow's video canceled. No. No. We're not discussing spoilers, alright? We're not discussing spoilers. I think there is this is a great chapter to go off on a 1 month break from. Shri Harish says, "Oh no, now we'll know what wasn't spoiled tomorrow." Okay. Now everyone's just asking for details on the spoiler. You can look up the spoilers if you want to look up the spoilers. Oh, Nuggets Heat. Thank you for asking. Yeah, the only reason I want the Nuggets to win, I'm a Jokic fan, but I'm also a Jimmy Butler fan. So I think I'm more of a I've liked Jokic ever since. I've liked Jokic for a while, but especially ever since 2020 when he knocked out Kawhi in the fraud Clippers. So I've been on the Jokic train for a while. I never predicted that he'd be the best player in the NBA like he is today. But I've liked him for like a good time. Like I've always thought he was an underrated player. Even after the Nuggets beat the Clippers and stuff, I felt like Jokic was still underrated as a player. Um, but because at that point, like even like by think about it like this, by 2020, Jokic was better than Kawhi, unquestionably, and he's very possibly been the best player in the world for 2 years straight now, and just didn't have a team to back him up. So that's kind of where I'm at. Like I'm supportive of the Nuggets largely because I feel like Jokic has very possibly been the best for the last few years, and I feel like he's been forced to wait his time and wait his turn longer than um, he should have, just because of bad luck. Because you can't succeed in the playoffs when your second and third best players and like that amount of salary is just missing from your roster, right? So I think he's like a transcendent player that was hit by like terrible, terrible luck and timing. So I just feel like he had a really like the absolute shit end of the stick for like 2 straight years of his prime. So I think it's about time that he's able to get one, right? Whereas with Jimmy Butler, he's got like a great underdog story and everything. Like I think Jimmy's like one of the coolest players in the NBA like ever. His story is amazing. Homeless, worked his way into the NBA, then became an NBA star. Even though like he doesn't have like a natural sort of like the athleticism or some sort of physical attribute that makes him have an edge over other stars or anything like that. It's all here and all skill and heart, etc. But at the end of the day, Jimmy getting to the finals is already a dream for a player like him. Like that's a player like him. That's like, to me, that's like overperforming, if that makes sense, right? Whereas with Jokic, it's almost like maybe this dude should already be looking at like 1 or 2 championships already if he didn't already have like terrible luck. So to me, I'm looking at Jokic the way I'm like, man, it sucked that LeBron had terrible luck in Cleveland the first time around, right? He deserves a championship at some point, right? Like he should have probably already pulled one in. So with Jokic, I'm just like, it's about time for this dude. That's why I'm kind of supporting the Nuggets. It just feels right that Jokic finally cements himself as the best player when he's already possibly been that for some time, and he was just being wildly unrecognized, I mean, people had him below Embiid this year, which is wild. Bingle the Oop, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 8 months. What if these Gorosei forms are the repercussions of getting the immortality surgery? Oh, that's a crazy interesting idea. They gave up the most human thing, mortality, and became monsters. I love that idea, man. That's awesome. That is an awesome idea. I really, really, really like that idea. I don't know if that's going to be what it is, but it's a unique type of like ability that we haven't seen in One Piece, right? Not devil fruit based or anything. Oops. Yeah, this is what we've got for the Gorosei fruits so far. The real question is, what impact will this have on LeBron's legacy? Here's the fucking crazy thing. Alright? Absolutely insane. Alright? And it says so much. Let's say LeBron had beaten the Nuggets this year. Right? Let's say the Lakers had beaten the Nuggets. And LeBron makes the finals again. At year 38, as the 7th seed, a team that was out of the playoffs for the majority of the season. Right? On an injured foot. Let's say LeBron had made it to the finals and then lost. That would be held against him. Right? Because he lost in the Western Conference Finals, luckily even though people are roasting him right now, luckily in 2 or 3 years, people aren't really going to talk about this that much. Like, no one's really going to be holding it against LeBron like, oh yeah, at year 38, like he couldn't beat Jokic and the Nuggets and stuff like that. In a few years, it's just not going to matter. But if he'd actually performed better and made it to the finals and then lost, then like this would still be talked about as part of his legacy forever. Like LeBron lost another finals, like 4-7, that would make him like, man, 4-7, really bad record and stuff. Like, so he's the only player that like getting to the finals is a bad thing. He's the only player that getting the finals is a bad thing, right? Like Jimmy Butler, we all look at him as a better player because he made it all the way to the finals. That's a win on his resume, right? Win or lose, getting to the finals is really fucking impressive. LeBron made it to the finals in 2018 on a far more impressive run, and 2018 still gets held against him in his finals record as like, well, he lost in the finals again, part of his negative 4-6 record, 6 losses in the finals. It's like LeBron gets punished for going on epic runs where he drags teams to the finals. It's absolutely insane. It would be better if he lost earlier. He's the only player that he would be rewarded for doing worse in the playoffs because they just want to add on to the narrative that he loses, that he's not good in the finals, Dre hit him up, says no one with a brain holds 2018 against him. 2018's weird because it's on the one hand it's upheld as like LeBron's greatest like level of play ever, but on the other hand the broader argument is 4-6, and that counts 2018 as well. You get what I'm saying? So it's like the bigger thing that's held against him in general is 4-6. So 4-6 basically takes out all context. Because part of that the 6 losses, is the greatest NBA playoff run in history by a single person, right? The most impressive single player, one-man carry job in NBA history, by far, right? That's part of the 6, but it gets held as a negative in the overall context of like, well, we don't care about what actually happened. We just want to say that LeBron couldn't win, right? So it's like, in individual terms, 2018 is amazing, but then the overall critique of LeBron, it just gets lumped in there, which is why the critique is so nonsensical, because you're taking something that is really impressive and trying to use it to discredit a player. Billy Bob says, Morj, it shows how weak his conference is if he loses so many finals. Here's the other thing that people forget. During that era, the Miami Heat through Cleveland, like the 2012 through 2018 era, right? Most superstars didn't want to go to the East. Nobody was trying to go to the East during that time because LeBron was there. People forget that. But that was the rampant, like, overarching narrative of that time, which was the East is weak because everyone knows that belongs to LeBron. Nobody's looking to try and, like, build their team out there in the East because then you gotta compete with LeBron. Nobody's trying to go team up in the East. Nobody's trying to go build a super team or something in the East because you've got a better shot in the West. The East belongs to LeBron. So it's only in later years that the script has been flipped to like, well, the East was weak all that time. It's like, why was the East weak? It's because Kevin Durant's obviously too fucking scared to run over to the East, right? Russell Westbrook, all of these players, they're not going to try and go to the East and try and compete with LeBron. That's just not part of their agenda. The easier path to the finals at that point in time was playing in the West, because that way you don't have to go up against LeBron. You're just playing the other teams in the West. You don't have to go up against LeBron's Heat. You don't have to go up against LeBron's Cavs. Players and teams gave LeBron the East. That's what was going on. Like, that was generally accepted in sports discussion at that point in time. Gintastic says he got humbled immediately when he got in the West in the bubble ring. LeBron won the first year he had a good team in the West. What? LeBron literally won the West pretty much right away as soon as he had a normal team. And pretty easily, too. 2020 was like a cakewalk for him. 2021, they had injuries. 2022... I mean, at this point, like, I think anything past 2021, 2022, you're talking about, like, 37, 38-year-old LeBron. You don't really have an argument against him, you know? If you took prime LeBron, obviously he wins the title this year, right? Billy Bob says, so why LeBron keep losing to Western Conference teams then? I mean, the KD Warriors would beat any team in history. Marshall Flynn says it's like people taking over Whitebeard's territory after he died. Yeah, that's basically what happened in the East. Like, you think it's a coincidence that as soon as LeBron left the East, that's when all these other players want to go over to the East? I don't know. Tom, thanks for the 2. In One Piece terms, please. Okay, so it's basically like it's basically like Whitebeard was obviously the best player in the world for the longest time. But then once he's old and tired and decrepit, and that he's having some trouble with admirals and stuff like that, then you got people like Akainu coming out and being like, see, Whitebeard, he never even tried to get he never even got the One Piece, he's gonna die here, he blah 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 blah. It's just a lot of shots being taken at him that ignore the general context of what Whitebeard accomplished in his career as a pirate. Joshua Scott says PG literally said he went to the West because he was sick of losing to the same guy. Exactly. DeMar DeRozan also said that he, have you seen DeMar DeRozan's interview talking about how he felt about the Raptors winning without him? He was like, I was sure that as soon as LeBron left, that we would have won the same year, even if they hadn't traded, even if they hadn't swapped me for Kawhi. He thinks that they would have won the year after LeBron left. Because he was like, we would only lose to the same guy. As soon as LeBron was gone, that was the real problem. From DeMar DeRozan's perspective, and obviously it's a biased perspective, but he's the guy that had to play LeBron for 4 years. From his perspective, it's like, yeah, obviously you guys won the year after LeBron left, because LeBron was the entire reason the East was a problem. Billy Bob says Morj, he only lost to KD twice. So he lost to the Warriors in 2015 when he was missing Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. And 2015 was one of the all-time greatest finals performances too. That's the problem with LeBron discourse. It's like everybody universally at the time was watching him play in 2015 and was like, this might be the highest level of basketball any individual has played. But because he couldn't do literally the impossible and beat a really good team by himself with Matthew Dellavedova as his second best player, which literally no player in history would ever be able to do, only LeBron could even make it competitive. Because LeBron couldn't do that, it now gets thrown into the, 4-6 argument. It makes no sense. It's fucking idiotic. All right. We're going to leave NBA open. Over. Closed at this point in time. We're going to close out NBA at this point in time. Dre hit him up, says, have you considered that Jordan doesn't have a 2011? Yeah. I am not one of those people that puts LeBron as the GOAT over Jordan. I don't. But this is the problem with it. There's no nuance with the discussions. Because you can consider Jordan better than LeBron without having to bring in bad arguments against LeBron, right? 2011 is a very valid argument against LeBron because there's no defending it. 4-6 is a fucking stupid argument. It is the stupidest argument in the world because so many of those finals and lost finals, etc., were at the time considered some of the greatest individual achievements a player has ever performed. The 2007 run, the 2018 run, 2015 where he nearly beat the best team in the world by himself with no other good players on his roster, took them to 6 games, it was a tight finals. That's the problem with certain arguments against LeBron. Jordan, I ultimately think that Jordan had the more impressive career. I think that Jordan is the GOAT. I think LeBron is right up there with him. I think LeBron is a better player at his peak than Jordan was, just because in the modern era, things are more competitive. LeBron's a more complete player. But if you're comparing straight up, who was more impressive for their time relative to their competition, I think Jordan was more dominant. But you don't have to bring in shitty arguments against LeBron to make the case. You can there's so many other better arguments you can make in Jordan's favor. That's the problem with LeBron hate, which is people bring in arguments that anyone can understand are very illogical just to cut him down rather than just comparing straight up what did LeBron accomplish versus what did Jordan accomplish, and like you can fairly evaluate both resumes without like just trying to rip LeBron's entire resume apart. You get what I'm saying? All right, Alexis O pointed out, closes NBA chat, proceeds to talk NBA. All right, from here on out, NBA is done. Brandon asked, "You see Mango Zane Grands yesterday?" Yeah, I tuned in because I saw that Mango's having a really good run. I have very little interest in Melee at this point, but I tuned in because it's Mango on a run. I didn't expect much from the finals because I knew that Mango hasn't been playing much or practicing, and yeah, he kind of got destroyed. Right, he had a really good game one, but then he kind of got destroyed. Good to see that Mango can kind of just like without really being fully up to scratch, he can kind of just like jump in and still compete. But I don't expect him to still be able to win. He I stand 69. Thanks for the 2. 4 to 6, but in the finals every year for a decade. Yeah, it's I don't know. I like we're not gonna see a. You guys got to remember, like the entire decade, 2010s, the entire decade, it was the LeBron story, right? It like LeBron was the NBA because every year was about LeBron versus someone, right? The entire thing, right, from 2011 through 2020, it's like LeBron's in the finals. Who is his opponent this time? What does he have to go up against? Like, it's an entire decade where he's that guy that is, I guess, the final boss that a team either beats or falls short to base, or LeBron overcomes him. And the last time we had something like that was the 90s with Jordan, basically, right? Jordan, sure, a few less finals, but like he won more of them, which at the end of the day, it does matter more. Like I'm not putting LeBron above Jordan, but I'm saying like really appreciate that like when's the next time we're gonna have a player like that for a full decade they're just the story, like they're the guy that is undisputed the best that everybody's trying to beat every year, and they're the guy to beat every year. It's gonna be a long time. Tom, thanks for the 2. Could LeBron scar Kaido? No, because I don't think LeBron's a swordsman. Titanium Dragon, thanks for the 5. I know it isn't a theory, but what would you say is One Piece's greatest strength as a piece of art and a story? I want to make a story like One Piece and want to know. I think that there's so many things. The other problem is that One Piece is such a long story that over time I feel like its strengths have shifted back and forth. Like at one point I would say One Piece is really, really good at filling you up with like positive feel good emotion, like heart wrenching emotion, but then also positive feel good emotion. I think that One Piece is really strong at that. But I think that like emotional highs and lows have not been its greatest strength. Like not that it's not there, but not been its greatest strength as of late. Like I don't think Wano's as emotional of an arc as like Enies Lobby or like Arlong Park or Drum Kingdom or something like that. On the flip side, I think that I think that the greatest strength of One Piece is probably just like it's not just world building, because world building is it's just setting up the elaborate world and characters, but it's building a really, really large, well structured, overarching narrative with such a diverse cast of characters and locations and factions, and lore and storylines, and being able to continually build on that in a direction that always feels like it was the inevitable final direction. So without really losing the the cohesion of tying everything together. And that's really what we're seeing right now, which is why the current story is so exciting. But seeing everything drive towards a singular conclusion that seems to be extremely well planned out, that is probably One Piece's greatest strength. Just the breadth of everything that it has set up, and having that all work together and build on each other and continually tie back to various previous character points, plot points, etc. Continually just delivering on that planned out, methodical, well structured macro storytelling. I think that's One Piece's greatest strength, at least to me. Direct to Direct, thanks for the 5. MJ greater than LeBron simply because MJ could play into his 40s. They were both superstars, but MJ lasted longer because he was gifted with superior the genes. I mean, I'm sure LeBron will be able to play into his 40s. It's kind of just like, how good will he be by then? It's also just like in terms of basketball years, doesn't LeBron already have more seasons on him than MJ? MJ also got to retire for multiple points in time. Like, I just don't think that, to me, in terms of comparing longevity, that's not where MJ wins. I don't think it's longevity. I think Jordan's argument is more so his dominance at his peak. You know, three-peating twice. I also don't think that MJ had superior genes, because LeBron's like a fucking freak of, like, Michael Jordan is obviously a very athletic, like, he's a freak of nature in terms of how athletically gifted he is, but LeBron is literally like the closest thing I think we've ever seen to a real life, like, super soldier type human being. You know what I mean? Because there's never been another person that's that size, as strong as LeBron. Like, LeBron's usually the strongest player on the court, one of the biggest, and he can run at his prime. He could run faster than everybody, jump higher than everybody, was fucking ambidextrous, could be as acrobatic in the air with layups and finishing and everything like that as just about anyone. Like, it just, that combination of all those factors, even just like down to the little things, injury resilience. Now we're used to LeBron getting injured, but back in the day, it was like unheard of how rarely LeBron was ever out or missing a game because his body was just so resilient to injury. He was literally just like a weird superhuman freak of nature that just was never really like affected by normal things or normal wear and tear that other people were. Like, it doesn't make sense how he's still going at this level at nearly 40 years old. I think LeBron has the better genes. You know, you could argue that Michael Jordan polished his scoring skills better, was mentally stronger, stuff like that. But just God-given whatever, I think LeBron's got it. Archangel, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 1 month. You get access to the Morj podcast. The Morjcast comes out every Friday. Has my unfiltered thoughts on all topics that you may want to know about. Video related, not video related. Usually video related, usually recent chapter related. Stuff like that. But look out for that this Friday. Umair Ula, thanks for the 5. Morj, I think it's crazy that not a lot of people mention how fun it is to talk and discuss about One Piece since there's endless topics to talk about. I think that's something that I've talked about multiple times with other content creators, funnily enough. So I don't have experience like working another series like every week like Naruto or something like that, but One Piece really, really is unique in that there's no other work. Like, if I was covering, we talked about Berserk earlier, right? And Berserk is a fantastic story, but it comes out once a month, much smaller world, cast of characters, all of that, much fewer story arcs, etc. One Piece is at a point where there's infinite content to discuss. So much content. It's like, the amazing thing about One Piece is that with newer storylines, right? Older storylines often become way more relevant. Like, how often do we go back to Skypiea and we're like, wait. All this stuff from Skypiea just became important again. And then, like, 15 chapters later, it's like, wait. Even more shit from Skypiea just became relevant. Oh my god, some shit from Alabasta, we gotta talk about that now. Some shit from Dressrosa's tying back in now. There's so much to talk about in One Piece. Like, there's so many corners of the world to explore, so many storylines to explore, so many themes, so many threads, so many theories that you can make, so many mysteries. There's really nothing like One Piece. you cannot get bored. I mean, you can eventually. Okay, this is partly why I don't enjoy doing collabs and reveries and stuff as much now personally, unless there's really something interesting to talk about. You can eventually, like, I talk about One Piece so much nowadays that I don't necessarily love doing collabs as much, unless it's with like a particular person I've already got a good dynamic with and stuff like that. And reveries, I kind of tune in just to do it. But that's not to say that that's kind of just because like I already talk about it so much. We're talking about One Piece today. I'm going to talk about One Piece again on Thursday, right? I already talk about it so much that I'm kind of somewhat past the point where I enjoy just like going on like a 1-2 hour conversation with somebody to rehash other things that I'm already talking about on stream and stuff like that. But with the right people, I still have fun doing it. You know, like Hidden Island and I had a great collab recently. I was like talking to Randy. There's always certain people like Parvision, stuff like that. Bunfagum, thanks. Corge, did you feel any major hype for Dragon? Did I ever feel any major hype for Dragon? I feel hype for Dragon now. I really, really look forward to Dragon's next appearance. Maybe not next appearance because he's kind of still chilling right now. Guys, let's get the stream likes to 500. By next appearance, I mean like the fact that Oda's holding him off from fighting for so long. That's what's really exciting to me. So I think that he is the character that I'm most excited for right now to see fight out of anybody that's left, and that includes the Gorosei and Im, because Dragon's just been something I've been looking forward to for so long. JP, thanks for the 20. I don't mind the Gorosei being Admiral level, but I hope their powers are conditional, like having to be near Imu or something. Just enough to justify relying on admirals, and that the power balance of the world wasn't a full lie. Yeah, because like we've been fed the balance of power of the world for so long that I would agree that for it to just turn out to be some made up shit, like nothing like the idea that Marineford and the admirals and Shichibuka and stuff lined up against the Whitebeard pirates, all of that was actually just like kind of a fake little conflict that didn't really mean anything. I feel like that would be kind of retroactively disappointing, just to, you know, it would feel like, sure, we've known about the Gorosei forever, we've known about him like recently, but to suddenly find out that like, okay, because the Gorosei existed and because Im turns out to exist, all of that other stuff that we thought was important doesn't really matter. I think that would be a disservice to One Piece, because I think that one of One Piece's greatest strengths has always been the build-up, right? So slowly building up the sense of scale and sense of conflict in the world, and why each faction is really important. And if we were to suddenly find out that all of that was kind of just bullshit because these other guys are just way more powerful all along and that's all that really matters, I would not like that. It would feel Kaguya-esque in that sense. I think Oda is avoiding that for the moment. Yes, we're like the Gorosei have been around forever, etc., but it was never suggested that the Gorosei were the end all be all in terms of the power hierarchy in the One Piece world, right? Sean Easton, thanks for the 2. Have you seen the stuff from Mugiwara no Goofy? No. What is that? What does that mean? Mario Castillo, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 8 months. If I could have any Zoan Devil Fruit, what would it be? Or one that I think would be fun to see that we haven't seen so far in the story. If I could have any Zoan Devil Fruit, I would not pick Luffy's fruit, even though it's the most fun and versatile, just because I don't know if I could rock with like reality suddenly becoming really weird and shit. You know, like it would feel very strange to suddenly experience that. You know, like I don't need people's eyeballs popping out of their sockets and stuff. I'm gonna leave Luffy's fruit alone. So in that case, I'm gonna take the Phoenix fruit. You get to fly. You don't die. You get you don't take damage. Phoenix fruit is pretty amazing, and you can heal. Like you can heal other people, which is just a nice extra bonus. It's a nice thing to be able to do. Mythicals, like the Marco's Phoenix fruit, is just one of the coolest things in the story. It is, I think, my favorite power that exists in the One Piece verse. Bobby Wellington, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 8 months. Morj, can you pretty please hit the gritty? No. Do it for the fans. No. Sogi King says, I'm curious, who has more NBA knowledge, Brago or Morj? Oh, definitely Brago. Because I have been a casual fan for the I have, my NBA interest, Brago's probably watched way longer. I wasn't into the NBA till 2016, and then I went back and, like, relearned and rewatched a lot of stuff that was from earlier years, so I actually have a very good grasp of, I actually know a good deal of NBA history, if that makes sense. Like, I know a lot of random details from, like, the 90s, the 2000s, etc. Because I just, like, when I get into something, I like going back and watching, or, like, just learning a lot about, like, the different storylines, etc., etc. So I think I'm, like, I have a good friend that I talk basketball with quite a bit, and, like, he said that I'm a really good NBA historian, but he definitely watches more and is more up to date with current NBA games, because I dropped off watching as much during 2021 and 2022, and this year as well. Like, my just free time available to watch NBA games drastically decreased. So I always tune in for playoffs and everything like that, but being able to catch NBA games, I catch a very small percentage of NBA games relative to what I used to be able to nowadays. So I'm not that sharp on that, but usually, like, the broader topics discussed, like, you know, the casual topics or whatever, LeBron, MJ, shit like that, right? I think I generally have a very good very good knowledge base for that discussion, because that's stuff that's just broader, more general. If you want to get down to nitty-gritty stuff like which role player is better this year, like random guy from this team to this team, I'm not going to know as much as, like, the average person. Masan Rasat asking about manga Morj. Dude, I'm not going to lie. This 1 month Oda break has me hoping that I can catch up on some of that stuff. Ali H says he hasn't mentioned Manga Morj in like 4 months. I'm actually forced to mention Manga Morj pretty frequently because this guy Noor keeps coming in to streams and super chatting about it. So I've actually brought up Manga Morj. I've talked about Manga Morj almost every other stream for some time now because I keep getting reminded about it. Tyson says maybe you can win the NBA fans and haters by streaming 2K while discussing One Piece LMAO. That's the thing. A lot of people who are really knowledgeable about... I think you need to play 2K to be very knowledgeable about the NBA. Because here's why. 2K makes you get familiar with all sorts of players that you wouldn't normally be familiar with. So, like, one of my roommates had 2K. And, like, I would play sometimes. And because of that, like, you just learn more about random-ass players. Like, he had a very in-depth knowledge about, like, he really, really liked 2K. He was, like, one of the top whatever percent players in the world. On that game, like 10% or some shit. So, like, or 10 or 5, like, he was really up there. He was in, like, one of the top tier categories. So, like, he knows a shit ton about a bunch of random ass NBA players because he plays way more 2K than he ever watches the games. But, like, when he watches the game, he knows kind of who the, like, he just knows down to the nitty gritty, like, roughly how good a player is. You know what I mean? Gray hit him up, says, nah, you don't need to, in my opinion. Yeah, I'm not being serious there, but I do think that 2K helps a shit ton. It also helps you, like, because 2K has the trade, like, you know, the trade simulator and stuff like that. Like, it helps you just have a better understanding of, like, lots of the nitty gritty of, like, how different teams salary, like, how moving around players works and stuff like that. Captain Ripley says jumping into the stream and seeing what's on the board without context is hilarious. Yeah, the Gorosei fruits, that's what's supposed to say right now. This is all we came up with. People didn't have the best ideas. If you guys have any ideas coming from spoilers, do not mention them. Do not mention them. Red Hood 52 says explain this break, Mork. I can explain it in One Piece terms. So imagine if One Piece didn't put out any chapters for a month. That's basically what we have. Shalin Prabhakar says, do we really not have any other good ideas for the Gorosei? That's all we've got at the moment. If you have any ideas from spoilers or anything like that, do not mention. Tyson says could be some fun streams though. I'd get members for it. Lol. I also don't like playing 2K. I hate playing 2K. 2K's no. Well, I had fun playing 2K a bit. I had some fun. Okay. Here's how I felt playing 2K, which was basically like you for those of you who don't know, it's like, you're simulating basketball as a video game. So you have to you get to pick players for your team or whatever. Yeah, you pick players for your team and you get like, you fill out your roster with players of differing ability based on what you're able to choose. So I would play with one of my roommates, and he was very good at the game, as I said. So the way we would do it is he would handicap himself heavily by picking like some really really bad players, and I would be allowed to pick like really really good players. And over time, I was just like frustrated because in my like I realized that what I wanted was so unreasonable. I wanted I wanted to be able to pick teams where every team had like a guy that could easily score from outside, who could drive, who could facilitate really well. So I wanted one of those like superstar guys, and I wanted everyone on my team to be a good defender and a good shooter and a good pat. Like I just would get like I would just be like, after a bit I'd be like, oh fuck, well I'm only losing because like this guy can't do that and this guy can't do that and this guy can't do that. So I just need some better players and stuff. And he'd be like, yeah dude, but like I'm already allowing you to have way better players than what I've got. Past a certain point, you're just asking for like a team with all superstars that have no weaknesses. I'm like, fuck yeah, I guess that would be ideal, because I'm like, well then in my mind then I could play perfectly. But that's basically cheating, so you can't really do that. I would just legit get annoyed at these fake players that I'm playing with for not being good at a certain skill or something like that. I'd be like, well, if this fucking guy has a shitty 3-point rating, that's why I can't win. It's like, well, yeah, you can't have like a perfect team. Like, all right. Yokai says, so no source on the break. Is it just an unconfirmed rumor? Is the break confirmed? Is the break confirmed? Can somebody confirm this? Let me check. I'm seeing everywhere that there's a break. Let me check the good old news site. Google News. I don't see any break here. Is this just like a really late April Fool's? I hope it's not, because I'm already kind of planning ahead with the mentality of it being a long break, which I kind of want. Class A says, I get so annoyed at chat, like, for fuck's sake, stay on topic. Or go to a sports channel. Cigar Verks has missed my super. Oh, I'm sorry, man. Let me get it. Yeah, we're going to call the stream in a little bit. Cigar Verk, thanks for the 2. Break gives me hope that Strats are going to pack Saturn and Kizaru. Wait, why does it give you hope that they're... I still think that they're going to win, but why are they going to... Why does that make you think they're going to pack them up? Manny Corral says Arthur tweeted it out. Is Arthur... Did anybody else confirm this? Remix King says, who the fuck is Arthur? I thought everyone knew who Arthur was. Soga King says, I mean, Arthur confirmed it. Arthur has trolled us in the past, though, over certain things. Not intentionally, but just kinda. I feel like I'm still haven't recovered from the, that one time that I thought that the actual live-action trailer had come out. Isaiah Davis, thanks for the 10. What if the Gorosei are hand-picked admirals from past generations selected to serve Imu personally with the immortality surgery? Kizaru is being selected for his loyalty and is with Saturn as a test. The thing is that the Gorosei are supposed to be celestial dragons, so I don't think that that is the case. Unless they're retroactively, like, inducted into the celestial dragons, but I think that that goes against the entire point of the celestial dragons believing that, they're celestial dragons because of virtue of their blood, right? Uzi Osborne, thanks for the 550. Gorosei don't have powers. Imu likely has the ink fruit. Writes and erases the story, e.g. Lulusia. Luffy equals Toon Force, Emu equals Scribblenauts, opposites. Luffy equals Toon Force, Emu equals Scribblenauts. What are Scribblenauts? I don't know what Scribblenauts are. Let me look up. I drifted away from the mangaka theory just because, you know, transforming into such scary monster, to me that speaks Zoan fruit, right? But I guess you could say that the dark silhouettes and everything like that make it look more like, you know, maybe manga drawings or something. Okay, Scribblenauts seems to be a game. I don't have much context about it, but maybe that's accurate. Soga King says Arthur lives near Oda's home. He knows everything. That is actually not true. He does not live near Oda's home, as far as I know. Leakers also say there's a break, but what if they're just copying Arthur? I believe that there's a break. Jason Bourne says, I will destroy you, Mork. Alright. Cigar Verk, thanks for the 2. Don't remember any big break before Straw had big losses. But we've only ever had like 2 big breaks, and one of them was... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's enough of a pattern of... The only other time we had a 1-month break was obviously at the end of Wano, and then after Marineford, right? So I just don't see... I don't know if there's really a pattern there, you know? Like, unless I'm forgetting some other break we had, but I'm pretty sure that's all it was. McDonald's, thanks for the 550. With how it's going so far, is there a potential Chainsaw Man 2 Manga Morj video when it ends? Chainsaw Man 2, I think, is some ways off from ending, in my opinion. I think it's just getting started, right? But I have another Chainsaw Man video I want to make, but dude, these videos, they take time. It's so hard because I've, like, I was talking about this earlier in stream, like, I don't just do YouTube, right? So it's just hard time-wise to manage everything. Samyat says time skip had a break. Yeah, the time skip really felt like a time skip because it was a 1-month break after chapter 597, I think. Mokul Jordan says, I guess Oda's going to take an annual break in the summer at this rate. Yeah. I feel like that would be possible. At the same time, I'm kind of like, is that even sustainable with how fast he wants to finish the series? Like, maybe we get another break once Egghead Island ends or something. Like, maybe after certain milestones. I don't know if it'll be yearly. Umair Ula, thanks for the 2. Who do you think the 3 admirals were in Roger's era? I think Sengoku was one, right? Because at that time, Kong was the other guy, right? So Sengoku was one. Wasn't Zephyr technically one of them? So what Roger says once he in chapter 955 or whatever, like when we see the panel of him with some beaten up Marines that he's holding, what he says then is that, you know, you got to send Garp or Sengoku to give me an actual challenge. So I assume that whoever the other admirals were at the time didn't really matter, right? So I think it was Zephyr, Sengoku, and then maybe some other guy, but Garp and Sengoku were the 2 strongest at the end of the day. Tyler Adams, thanks for the 2. Luffy will be captured and set to be executed. Be interesting. I just don't know if I see that happening, because it's like, well, how does Luffy meet Shanks, you know? Ooh, thanks for the 2. Have a good night. Take care, man. Thank you too, man. Thanks for the 2. Have a good night. Outback Pandas, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 3 months. Why does Sengoku get blamed by the community for the pregnant women thing? Do we know if he was Fleet Admiral at the time? It could have been Kong. What? What does that even mean? For the pregnant women thing? Oh, wait. You're saying the hunt for all of the pregnant women at the time? Were they killed? What? Wait, what exactly happened then? Let me take a look. It was chapter 900, No, not 900. 551 maybe? Maybe 550? Let's see. Okay, hold on. Check all the children, the pregnant women too. Kill any mother who seems suspicious? Shit. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Kong was the fleet admiral at this point in time, right? Someone say it was Kong. I think it was Kong. Let's say it was Kong. I think it was Kong from what I'm looking at. Time was right? Because time was, I don't know. I think it was Kong. We're just going to chalk it up to Kong and assume that Sengoku would not do such a thing. Remix Gang, thanks for the 2. How was your date, Morj? Jimmy moves from top 15 to 10. Jimmy, we got to see how he finished out the finals. Date was, so on Thursday, so I'd reserved for a speakeasy. Thursday night, she cancels. And then the next day, well, between Thursday night and Friday morning, I'm messaging just randomly on Hinge and Tinder. I have a reservation. I basically saying, I know this is really random. I have a reservation for 2 for a speakeasy. It's a night, and then I kind of explain in parentheses what a speakeasy is, and I'm like mass sending this. Like, it's a nice bar. They make unique drinks and stuff like that. Lol, I know it's random. Would you be free today at 6 p.m. basically, right? So I'm sending that out, and one girl was actually fine with it. So not with who I thought, but I did go. We were able to bump the reservation a little bit, so it worked out a little bit better. So I did go, but it was very random because I'd basically not talked to her at all till that morning when she basically confirmed. So it was kind of weird, but and like it was very out of the blue. But it went well enough, and we're going out again this week, so should be fine. But at the same time, I think like I'm probably just gonna not like that was the first time I ever did something like reserve a speakeasy, which is kind of nice. I think for like relatively nice for a first date type thing. I think I'm just not gonna do anything that requires a reservation in the future for a Hinge, anything off a Hinge or Tinder. So that's the first time I did that. Big mistake. Just coffee or normal bar from here on. Josh Nesbitt, thanks for the 5. Okay, Morj, so everyone is trying to relate the D to English words, but I would imagine it stands for Japanese words that Romanji begins with a D. That's what I kind of figured too, but there's also just so many words that begin with D in English that fit so well that it's kind of just like people said the Devil Clan. That fits if the Celestial Dragons are gods. The Dawn Clan. That fits because they talk about the Dawn so much. So I think that's why the D, it's persisted as basically the assumed true letter that represents whatever the English version, you know what I mean? Cigar Verk, thanks for the 2. Oda took a 2-week break before Gear 4th reveal 2. Did he take a 2-week break? Or is that what do you call? Was that just like 2-week breaks happen organically plenty of times, you know, between random shit like holidays, Golden Week. There's stuff that happens, you know what I mean? There's stuff that happens that means that like sometimes we just randomly like Oda takes a break, plus it's like Christmas or 4th of July or some shit, and then there's just 2 breaks in a row. So I don't know if to me the 1 month breaks are the very deliberate ones, right? Wrench Doctor 2000 says Morj riding through town distraught, sending text to everyone he can find. Dude, it felt weird because I was just like, I didn't want to lose the reservation because speakeasies are nice. So I didn't want to lose the reservation, and I like didn't want to cancel last minute because I'm like, well, what if they won't let me reserve again here? And I want to go back to that place. So I was basically just like cold messaging people that had already girls that had already matched with, but who were like dead end conversations basically. And I was just like, all right, Hail Mary, Hail Mary, Hail Mary. Let's see what happens. Eduardo M, welcome to the Yonko. Thank you for joining, and you now have access to the Morjcast, which is the weekly podcast that you get every Friday with my unfiltered. I've said this like 15 times. I'm going to start explaining this anytime anybody joins the Yonko so they actually know what they're signing up for. Along with all the emotes and all this other shit, you get access to the Morjcast weekly podcast that comes out every Friday with my unfiltered, extended thoughts on all sorts of stuff. Trust me, you will like it. It will help you get through this trying time of a 1 month break without One Piece. You will enjoy it. Ethan Cook, thanks for the 10. Do you think the will of D is to bring forth the dawn? Do I think the will of D is to bring forth the dawn? And also, do I think the reason why Emu has a picture of Vivi and Luffy is because they look like Lily and Joy Boy? I do think the will of D is to bring forth the dawn. Like, I'm strongly in that camp. The reason why Emu has a picture of Vivi and Luffy, I feel like Emu has seen something that suggests, or like some sort of level of just overseeing the events of the world and stuff like that. And they talked about like erasing light from history. To me, there's something more intentional rather than just reminiscing, because it's like he's also looking at Blackbeard and Shirahoshi. And I guess you could say maybe there was someone that looked like Blackbeard back then, just like Luffy looks like Joy Boy, Lily looks like Vivi. Maybe there was a mermaid princess back then too, so maybe it's all just visual similarities, but I like to think that there's something more in Im's mind. Wade Turner with a great question. I always like when people ask about my personal problems, as long as I've shared them with you and you're not just prying. Questions such as my shoulder, until I got annoyed with people asking about my shoulder. How is my car doing? My car is currently not well, but it is okay. It is being fixed in a shop, and I have a rental car, so it's all okay. Cigar Verk, thanks for the 10. I have a theory. Real Oda replaced the duplicate during the last break. Oh, does this tie back to my theory as to why Oda suddenly started drawing so many ass shots? Wano is actually written by Pinzoro. Oh, okay, this is where we're going. He didn't want to reveal his identity. That's why we didn't see Zoro's past in the manga. All right, I think that does add up. But then why is he taking this break? Is it to swap back? Mokul Jordan says the theories are going to go crazy in July without a new chapter. Yeah, you guys don't understand. Because in the last several chapters, there have been multiple theories that I have wanted to make that the timing just didn't feel right for. But now I can just go to town for like a month. Troy Thompson says, how's your shoulder? My shoulder has been great for a while. Leave me alone. Awaken Garo, thanks for the 5. Work construction. Love to listen to these while working makes me work faster. Really, it does? Normally listen to them after posted first time live. Amazing content. Thank you. That is very nice to hear. I actually genuinely feel very good anytime somebody says that they listen to this. They listen to the streams during a specific thing, like their office job, like a construction job, like whatever they're doing. And it helps them get through it, or it's something that, you know, is fun for them to do at the same time, or makes whatever they're doing that they don't enjoy more enjoyable. JPrez P, thanks for the 5. Vegapunk just installed a bunch of lasers in the throne room. It was all just a light show, or maybe they have green blood too. Oh, you're saying that none of the Gorosei stuff actually happened? It was just like some fake laser light stuff that made him look like shadows. JWP, thanks for the 5. Random as stream boy. This isn't a random stream. This is we've got some good theories. We've got the Gorosei fruits. We've got aliens. We're the wild. Okay, we don't have anything good, to be honest. But yeah, maybe it was just some random shit thrown together. Penpal 1058, thanks for the 550. We up right now. Drop Wano vid. This would be a good time to drop the Wano vid. If only we're. I do have more time this time. Over the course of the next month. So let's see what we can do. We've got a good stretch of time. Wait, there's 6 weeks before Gear 5th in the anime? Are we at Kid and Law versus Big Mom yet? How far off are we? Cigar Verk, thanks for the 2. Manga is banger since break because real Oda is back. Oh, that makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. JWP, welcome to the Supernova. The Supernova unfortunately does not get. Thank you for joining. The Supernova unfortunately do not get the podcast that is Yonko tier plus, but you get the emotes and all that, and the badges. Krinsbar says, Kinro's Bar says, Kinro Bazaar says, Morj, do you think Joy Boy is a farmer who infuses his crops with people's dreams? No. That is one of the weirder theories I've seen. Mr. Crescent, thanks for the 10. What role do you think Judge and Germa will play in the final war? Do you think they will join the alliance and take down the world government, or will Judge possibly replace Vegapunk? I don't think Judge replaces Vegapunk. He's not smart enough. I still want to see Sanji fight Zoro. I don't think Sanji's getting a real fight versus Zoro ever. So, will Judge and Germa play a role in the final war? Judge and Germa are like the Germa 66 as a whole are an interesting group because they're they're a semi-important faction, but at the same time they could not exist and the story wouldn't be that different. Like, they were mainly there for Sanji's backstory, and I guess for Big Mom to have like a goal during the Whole Cake Island arc of trying to get her hands on some technology. I feel like that was their primary role, but now it's like, well, how important are they, right? They're this legendary army of evil. Maybe they play into the Vegapunk plotline more, right? Because now that Judge is with Caesar and everything like that, maybe there's some room here for things to link back with Egghead. JWP just upgraded his membership to Pirate King. What a mad lad. Holy shit. Thank you very, very, very much. There is something that is in the works for the Pirate King tier. For those of you who don't know, that is the highest tier of support that you can give to me on Patreon, which is like it's the highest tier support basically. So I very, very much appreciate people who are in that tier. I've been trying to think of something better to give them. What I'm circling around right now is an extra podcast that I do once a month, and I think I've basically included that. An extra, like, this will be the first month I probably do it. I haven't really like announced it because I don't want to push it unless that's definitely something people like. So I'm circling around whether that's going to be feasible to do every month. And then I'll see how many people like definitely want it, basically. But I'll probably do it by the end of this month, the first one. So in theory, it'll be an extra monthly podcast that is about stuff that is a chat sort of like group selected topic that I wouldn't be necessarily One Piece related. So if they want me to discuss something else, basically, and then there's a podcast out of that. Or maybe it is One Piece related, but they dictate what the topic is or something. Caleb Brown, thanks for the 2. Place bets. Who's wearing the light gloves versus Kizaru? Frankie. That'd be cool to see, right? He's the type that would put on those gloves and just go to town boxing, you know? Nick Dawson says Judge just helps climb the red line. That is actually a really fucking good idea. I didn't even think about that. Because you want to get a lot of people up the red line, right? It's going to be the Straw Hats. It's going to be, like, how many people are going up the red line? Probably a lot. That would be so cool. That is a fucking great idea. Out of all the characters in the story, like, going up the red line is very difficult. The only person it's easy for is characters that can fly. But as a group, the only people that it's been easy for is the Germa 66. That is a crazy, crazy, crazy good point. Great, great, great point. JWP says, that would be fire. I like your Chainsaw Man takes. PenPal1058 says, Pokemon Adventures Podcast. Dynamic says, is Manga Morj dead? No. Yeah, maybe Chainsaw Man or something. The problem is that it has to be something that people agree on. And the main problem is that most people are interested in One Piece first and foremost. So getting it to be something that everybody agrees on would be difficult, you know? But maybe if you don't get your topic 1 month, I like Chainsaw Man. I like talking about Chainsaw Man, so I'd be down to talk about Chainsaw Man. But if you don't get your topic 1 month, then maybe the next month it wins. I don't know. Andrew Anami says Pokemon Adventures Podcast. I feel like every month, every stream is a Pokemon Adventures podcast. Sorry, I feel like I always talk about that. Silem says Pokemor's channel win. I don't know about that one. Yeah, I like the Germa theory quite a bit. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap the stream in a few minutes. Let me just see if there's any last questions that are interesting. Troy Thompson asked, "Do we always stream at this time?" I think I fairly consistent. Like the stream is fairly consistently scheduled for 7:15 p.m. EST on Mondays and 8:15 p.m. EST on Thursdays. I think I've been sticking to that schedule fairly consistently as of late. People want to hear Chainsaw Man? Alright, that's good to know. Gallant Warrior says, Morj, why do I find most new anime series mid? Well, I don't know what your tastes are. So I've no idea I don't know what to say. Mech Lore, thanks for the 5. I think it's kind of rad that Sabo was down to murder the elders like that. It's rare to see a good guy with that level of bloodlust. Was he trying to... I mean, yeah, like, but he threw out an attack. I feel like most characters would throw out an attack at them, you know? Wrench Dodger 2000 with a great question. Where does Yuruj come back? Is he a holy knight now? And that's the thing, like, I feel like so much of the stream has been revisiting that point. The general, not the Yuruj point, but the general point that there are so many characters in One Piece right now that it is legitimately difficult to, off the top of your head, just remember everything that's going on. Like, does Oda even remember that he's supposed to be writing something about Yuruj? You know? Does Oda remember that? The last we saw Yuruj was he was on a cloud watching Kaido, and Yuruj was recovering from some battle, possibly against the Big Mom Pirates in the forest. Seducing Woods. Abrara Med says the new Vinland Saga season about Kettle is so good, it's just one great episode after another. Yeah, I've often said that, to me, Vinland Saga hit its peak with the current arc that it's at. I haven't seen much of how it's animated in the anime, but manga-wise, it's my favorite arc in Vinland Saga. Like, the first two, like, Season 1 and Season 2 of Vinland Saga, the arcs that they cover, those two arcs, I think they're my favorite character arc for a character, for Thorfinn. It's my favorite character arc in manga, period. It's just that, like, I feel like I just don't enjoy anything that happens afterwards. And not anything, that's an exaggeration. I just don't enjoy Vinland Saga as much after this arc. So to me, this is the peak of the series to me. Cigar Verk with the 2, thanks. You should get the poster for most type character pin Zoro. I need to swap that poster. I actually have an old poster. I'm swapping that for the old poster with all the characters, because that's just the classic. And in general, 1 month break, a little bit more time to do some stuff with the background and stuff like that. So, the background will look nicer soon. Caleb Brown says, you haven't read Vagabond, Morj. Yeah, but, so Vagabond, I understood it doesn't have an ending and will never get an ending. Then Phantom Greyfire messaged me, showing me some stuff. He's a regular in the streams and stuff like that. He messaged me explaining that, look, it's pretty much got an ending. There's just like one little battle that hasn't been filled in or something. That's kind of what I started to understand. So, maybe I'll try Vagabond at some point. It's just, just knowing that there's a certain section that'll never be filled in. I don't like that idea personally. JWP, thanks for the 10. The world government seems OP as hell. Holy Knights, Seraphim Gorosei, then the whole Marines. I unironically think they could take all the Yonko crews. The Yonko themselves are literally the only defense. We gotta wait and see, right? So before this, the Seraphim weren't in the picture. The Gorosei always were. We need to find out how strong the Gorosei are. We need to find out how strong the Holy Knights are, right? That's the thing. We need to find out how the new groups stack against everything else, All right. JWP says it's Berserk level. JWP says it doesn't need an ending. Lol, it's so peak. But I feel like it needs... Doesn't it need an ending? I feel like it still needs an ending, right? Silem says Vagabond changed me from a terrible person to an annoying person. Definitely recommend. That's a very interesting way of recommending it. Seems very introspective. That's good to hear. All right. Oh, Guitar Hero asked, "Hey Mark, thoughts on current Berserk chapters?" I kind of stopped reading after a few of the more. I read a few of the Mori chapters and then I stopped reading. Yeah, I kind of stopped reading after a few of the Mori chapters. I just don't like. I think once the raid on the island finished, I just didn't really tune back in because I felt like it just did not feel the same to me. All right, guys. Oh, Randy Troy is here for the very close of the stream, very ending of the stream. Bird one will be a basilisk like in Impel Down level 2 in my opinion. Are you on board with the Gorosei matching up with the Impel Down guards, at least to some degree? Like we said, the Minotaur, we see a Rhino there, the Basilisk seemingly matching up. I could see that. I think it's definitely possible. I have no strong predictions at all about the Gorosei at the moment. I was hoping that people would come in with some good predictions today for the Gorosei, but the closest we got are two things that I already saw before, which are people saying where the wild things are, which I personally think is a reach, and then the Impel Down stuff, which I think is interesting and possible. Then we got some Hindu stuff, which I think is a reach, and then someone just said aliens. So I got nothing else besides that. So they didn't really help me out that much, Randy. Yeah, I'm not sure about a rhino either, because there's not really a mythical creature that a rhino could actually be, you know? Unless Oda's just like, yeah, minnow rhinoceroses are a real mythical... Those are like actual mythical creatures in the One Piece world. I don't know. Bad timing, Randy, because the stream is about to wrap. So I will use you as the last commenter, basically. Alright, guys. Thanks for tuning in today. It was a good time. It was an interesting stream. We got some terrible ideas. Yeah, nothing really to work with for the Gorosei fruits. So we're going to tune out on that. But thanks for joining in as usual. Yeah, this week's chapter is going to be really, really good. Having read the spoilers, it's going to be pretty crazy. All right. So I'll talk to you guys on Thursday.